Yeah, good evening, everyone, and welcome. I welcome my team members also and all dear colleagues who have joined in this program. First of all, I'll give you some important information and then we will start with the sessions. Okay. So let me just share my screen. Hope my screen is visible. Okay, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to this batch, that is February A batch of NEP Orientation and Sensitization Program, brought to you by Ministry of Education and UGC through the UGC-MMTTCs, that is Malware Mission Teacher Training Center. So I welcome you on behalf of the UGC-MMTTC at SGTB Khalsa College, University of Delhi, also called as GAD-MMTTC. And prior to that, we were popular as GAD-TLC, that is Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center. So we are seeking blessings from Guru Angad Dev Ji, the second of the 10 Sikh Gurus. And I welcome you on behalf of my own premier institution, Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, University of Delhi. And also on behalf of, we are taking the scheme of Government of India under the leadership of our Prime Minister Modi ji. And this scheme has been given a name and shape in the honor of Bharat Ratna Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya ji. So I welcome each one of you with the virtual bouquet of flower, especially all the dignitaries and the resource persons will be joining, and all my dear members in the organizing team, and all of you, uh, all academicians from lovely part of our country. So all administrators, teachers, research scholars, and all other participants from all over India. And before we move further, in our core team, we are getting guidance and mentorship from Professor Ved Prakash sir, former chairman UGC, and Professor A.K. Bakshi sir, founder VC PDM University Bahadurgarh, former VC UPRTO. And today's both the sessions will be delivered by each one of them. I also will like to pay my gratitude to for Professor Jaswinder Singh, former principal SGTB Khalsa College, and Professor Surinder Kaur, who is acting principal at SGTB Khalsa College right now. In my organizing team, I have with me Professor Sarita Pasi, Dr. Babita Gola, Professor Suzanne Varghese, Dr. Jasneet Kaur, Dr. Seema Narked, Dr. Karpagali, Dr. Mamta Srivastav, Dr. Ume Kulsum, Dr. Prerna Singh, you can see from different institutions across the country. And all of you also can help us in the organizing team of the future batches as well. And I am your co-host, Vimal Rar, in Department of Chemistry, SCTB Khalsa College, and I am heading this center. And I am also happy to share that I am the member of the expert committee who is formulating guidelines and how the scheme will be shaping up in all the 111 MMTT center across the country. And this is a UGC committee. So here we are to start this February A batch, and let us pray to the gods and seek the blessings. Our center has state-of-art facilities in terms of training teachers and to make them ready for the 21st century skills. And especially our expertise is in e-learning, e-content generation, ICT tools, to name a few. Our journey as a team started with another center at my college, which is Center for E-Learning, where we have our own studio as well. And we had prepared more than 89 courses for EPG Pathshala project in these 6 subjects. You can all benefit and use this content in your classroom at inflibnet.ac.in. And not only we developed these 6 subjects in terms of the e-content, but we also formulated the entire 4-quadrant module format, myself and Prasabakshi, which was first a sample created for chemistry. It was accepted for all 77 subjects under this EPG Pathshala project at the country level. Out of this, 42 MOOCs were prepared, which was again the largest contribution out of the 63 PG MOOCs of UGC in first phase at the PG level. And let me tell you that now we have prepared more than 50 MOOCs for different institutions, including these 42 as well. My own conceptualized concept, which is Teachers E-Kit, more than 2,000 teachers are contributing in this, where how the blended learning can be adopted in each and every class. So it is a perfect combination or integration of subject with pedagogy and with technology. And this is what is required, that every teacher now should be looking what blended model you will be requiring for your each and every subject. And this, as a team, if you want to write as a complete paper, you can send proposal and we can take you further. Since 2016 to 2020, we were running the face-to-face programs. And since 2020, we are doing more online events. And I'm happy to share that we have touched more than 86,000 teachers, and number is increasing day by day with every new batch adding. And for this NEP program, this is the 5th batch that we are starting today. We also had the mandate of preparing the ARPIT program, and since 2018, we have successfully conducted the ARPIT, that is annual refresher program in teaching for chemistry. And we had the maximum number of enrollments. And also our program has been rated one of the best in the country in terms of the quality of the program. With this background, GAD-TLC was selected as one of the 45 PMMT centers, because there were around 99 or 100 of these centers, out of which only 45 have been awarded this Malviya Mission centers to conduct the NEP training for 15 lakh higher education teachers and many other programs under this scheme. So if we look around, because all of you should know about how the teachers training is now taking a new shape under the NEP 2020, and through these centers it will be taken further. So Ministry of Education has sought the strengthening of the synergy and integration between the earlier HRDCs and the earlier PMMT centers in order to meet the objectives of NEP 2020, keeping in view the optimal utilization of infrastructure, human and financial resources, and hence renaming and popularizing the entire capacity building effort as Malviya Mission Teacher Training Program. So this entire program is called as Malviya Mission Teacher Training Program, irrespective whether it is being conducted by the earlier HRDCs or the academic staff colleges or the earlier PMMT. And now of these, you can visualize it that all of them are combined and given the new name of Malviya Mission Teacher Training Centers. And in this, if you look at the aims of the new phase, which is it is being called is, it is actually for implementing the recommendations of NEP and to prepare everyone that we are on the same page and we make very positive contributions towards the implementation of this policy. So the idea is to Rather not the idea, the aim is to improve the quality of teaching at all levels and in all domains, to focus on equity and inclusion in higher education and promote online and digital education, ensure equitable use of technology, promote Indian language and culture, develop basic infrastructure facilities, create awareness about gender sensitization, include vocational education in the curriculum, develop leadership and management skills, create pool of mentors and pedagogic experts, and promote research and multidisciplinary education. And if we like to sum up the vision is to build competencies in the faculty for better teaching, learning, and research by exposing them to Indian values, updating knowledge and skills, and aligning teaching, learning, and research with the needs of society and NEP 2020. So, this is very important. You can see right from our Indian values, where IKS type of module come, and how the needs of the society can be looked up. All the aspects, whether it is teaching, learning, or research, are being taken into care. And the scheme was launched formally on 5th September by the Honorable Minister of Education, Dharmendra Pradhan ji, and this was done at Kaushal Bhavan. So, starting today, that is 6th February 2024, let me tell you that these 111 centers have now mandate of conducting all the programs which will be mandated by the Ministry of Education and UGC through various circulars, and as well as all those programs which are required for your promotional requirements, or the programs which are required for the institutions for their NAC or NIRF, to name a few. So all the programs which are being delivered by 111 MMTTs will be under this particular ambit, whether they are faculty induction program or FDP or refresher program. But this particular program has a unique place, and this is being called as NEP Sensitization and Orientation Program. If you look at the core modules, there are 8 modules which will be delivered in this very particular program, which are starting today. And this is same, although slight changes are coming as we are getting it from the ministry. So there will be some tweaking in happening. But as of now, there are 8 modules which will be delivered in this program, where one is holistic and multidisciplinary education. The module 2 is Indian knowledge system and multilingualism. Module 3 is academic leadership, governance and management. And module 4 is higher education and society. All these 4 modules will have quiz 1 coming. There will be questions. I'll be telling you details about that. And module 5 to 8, that is research development, skill development, student diversity and inclusive education, and information and communication technology. We will be forming it as the modules based on which we will be having the quiz 2. So this particular slide is very important. I'll be sharing the important slides with you in your WhatsApp group as well. So kindly note that in this very particular program, there will not be any recordings that will be provided to you. So it is very important that you attend these sessions live. This is as per the UGC guidelines that the participant has to attend these sessions in live, and we are keeping it quite a flexible time for you, 5 to 8 p.m. So I'm sure that you will be all able to. The first day recording we will provide, so that those who are not able to join due to some reason of not getting the Zoom link, but then once you are there in the WhatsApp group, the Zoom link is there with you, then you should be attending it in live mode. I am repeating, yes, in live mode, and that too with your videos on. So I'll request all of you to be putting your videos on. My team is taking screenshots and they will be looking into the attendance and other parameters requirements around that. Feedback of each session will be shared randomly. Yes, let me repeat this. Feedback of each session will be shared randomly during or after the session, and it will be closed after 30 minutes of sharing. It will not be opened up again. And that is how one part of the attendance we are going to take. So this is how the attendance will be marked from the feedback forms as well as from your Zoom live participation. So there will be total of 16 feedback forms because there will be 16 sessions, 8 days, 2 sessions each day. So 16 feedback forms, which will be session wise, and there will be one overall feedback form, and all these are compulsory to be filled. I repeat this, all the feedback forms are compulsory to be filled, and that is how your attendance is going to be marked. The quiz, we'll take 2 quizzes from you. That will be from one day, that is 18th February. It happens to be Sunday. So we'll give you 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. where you can submit both the quizzes. So what are the program completion parameters? Let me tell you. One part is attendance and participation, which is, as I told you, compulsory. And we will be assigning some marks out of that. So that total will be 20 from that, and 2 quizzes, 40 each. So that's how totally coming to 100. And let me tell you, the qualifying marks are 50 here. And if you think you can get qualified mark only from these 2 quizzes, but then you are not attending, we will not be giving you certificate. All the attendance as well as the attempting both the quizzes is important. Then and only then you will be able to get this particular certificate. And there will not be any grades mentioned here, that whether you have got grade A or B like the other FDP. So in this particular program, there is no provision of the grade, but the compliance, that is attendance as well as giving both the quizzes and securing more than 50 marks is what is required. And the certificate will be as per the UGC format, and no certificate will be provided if all assessment parameters are not successfully completed. We don't require any duty leave. We are doing it in the comfortable evening timings. So no need of duty leave and no relieving we will be giving from our side. Coming to one more very important information, rather disclaimer from both the speakers as well as our center point of view, that first of all, I will like to mention the copyright of the session is truly as per the respective speakers. GAD-TLC or the center UGC-MMTTC has no right on that. Similarly, if some miscommunication, some misinformation, then UGC-MMTTC is not to be held responsible. It is purely the responsibility of the speaker. Another very important thing is you may be taking screenshots and all for your own learning reference, that's fine, but you cannot use any of the screenshots or the full video or any part of that, and you cannot publish it, you cannot upload anywhere or do the streaming of his or her content, either as partial or in full without a prior written consent of the speaker. So it is truly the copyright of the speaker, and you have to take due permission. I think in this digital world, getting information like this, recording all is very simple now, but let us not misuse these tools, and we honor all the hard work of the speakers that they have done to prepare their very particular content. And now coming to this very particular program, can I, Professor Bakshi sir, has sir joined?
Yes, Vimal, I'm there.
Okay. Good evening, sir, and welcome, please.
Good evening.
So now let me take you further, because in these programs we don't have any formal inaugural and valedictory. So as coordinator, I have given you important information, and now straight away we'll start with the first session of the day. And the first session of the first day, we are having it from module 4, that is higher education and society. and that is being delivered by Professor A.K. Bakshi sir, founder VC PDM University Bahadurgarh and former VC UPRTO Allahabad, former executive director of Tertiary Education Commission Mauritius. And very briefly, let me introduce him before he takes the session. Professor A.K. Bakshi sir, as I told you, he has many positions. Apart from those, he was also Sir Shankar Lal Professor of Chemistry in University of Delhi. He was also Head Department of Chemistry, Director of CPDHE, Director of Institute of Lifelong Learning of Delhi University, and he has been also visiting professor at GGS-IP University in Delhi. Professor Bakshi has also been the chairman of GAD-TLC and member of Standing Committee of the National Mission on Education through ICT. He was also the chairman of the Content Advisory Committee for Chemistry for Sakshat portal of MHRD, a double gold medalist, record breaker, and recipient of several awards and academic honors. Professor Bakshi was felicitated 2 times for his outstanding contributions to education by the former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Professor Bakshi is the co-author of nearly more than 200 research and education articles, a patent, and many publications as books, e-books, various modules in the EPG Pathshala and Arpit courses. You can see more than 63 modules. And Professor Bakshi is one of the most sought after speakers in the country, having delivered more than 400 invited talks during the last 4 years only in different aspects of education at various national and international platforms. He has been a member of National Writing Team for Chemistry of Class 11th and Class 12th books of NCRT, also president of the section of Chemical Sciences in Indian Science Congress Association. He has also been a member of various committees of national and international importance. Professor Bakshi was also recently felicitated by the Union Minister Smriti Zubin Irani, rather our entire team, for his outstanding contribution as Chairman JDTLC in the professional development of teachers across the country. He is also one of the first persons from universities in India to have been selected as member scientist of third Indian research expedition to Antarctica. And this expedition built India's permanent base Dakshin Gangotri in Antarctica. So I welcome you, sir, for taking this session. And I'm sure, as always, it is going to be a motivational talk, which all of us will be benefiting not only professionally, but in personal fronts as well. So welcome, sir, once again, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Professor Vimal, for your very kind words of introduction. I can also see Professor Sarita Pasi as well as other members of the organizing committee. And I also wish and extend warm greetings to all the participants from all over the country who have joined for this NEP orientation and sensitization program. So, a very warm welcome to all of you. And it's a pleasure to be with you and to deliver this inaugural talk, which is going to be on higher education and society, in which I will talk about the various challenges which the teachers are going to face in the 21st century in the area of higher education. So, before I start my talk, let me share my screen. I hope my screen is visible and I am audible clearly.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So, as you can see, the title of my talk is In the Light of NEP 2020, Empowering Teachers for Challenges in Higher Education in India in the 21st Century. So, this talk will give you an overview of what are going to be the challenges for each one of you. And actually, all these challenges are going to be opportunities for you where you can excel. So that's what basically this talk is aiming at. And see, this is going to be a motivational talk based on NEP 2020 with the aim to empower higher education teachers to enable them to succeed and thrive in the 21st century. And believe you me, it can prove to be a game changer for each one of you. This talk is based on my experience, my conceptualization, etc. And it won't be wrong if I say that it will prepare you for success in your life as well as in your profession. The basic thinking behind the talk is give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So that's basically what it is going to do for you. This talk is in 3 parts. So coming to part A, which is just the introduction, here I will talk to you about the spirit behind National Education Policy 2020. See, before I go into the details, one thing you should keep it in mind that education is relevant and of quality only when it is able to serve the needs of the changing society. And in the 21st century, the world is changing very, very fast, mainly because of technological advancements. So therefore, our education will also have to change so as to meet the needs of the 21st century. So this is one point you have always to keep it in mind. That is why, outdated education system will not be relevant in the present scenario. Now, in this national education policy, it has proposed many reforms in school and higher education, including technical education that are suited to 21st century needs. Now, if you look at this NEP 2020 document, it is a visionary document which expresses the aspirations of the nation and aims to make India a global knowledge superpower. See, when I say global knowledge superpower, that India should become a superpower not only in terms of knowledge dissemination, but also in terms of knowledge creation. That is research. And when so much importance is given to knowledge, we call it to be a knowledge society which will come out. Because the prosperity and the well-being of the people will depend upon the creation, use, etc. of knowledge. So that is going to be the one aim of this policy. The second aim is to make India a global study destination. So that, students from all over the world come to India. So we should raise our level of the quality of education so much that people flock to India. So this is something which is the main points in NEP 2020. And please remember, earlier policies came in 1968 and 1986. So in the 21st century, this is the first policy. So this is something you have to keep it in mind. And how does this NEP 2020 aim to achieve its goals? It will do so by making school and higher education more holistic, flexible, and multidisciplinary. So these are the three important points in our education policy, which will come with this NEP 2020. It will become holistic, flexible, and multidisciplinary. When we talk about holistic, it means a complete human development involving all parts of a person: physical, emotional, mental, and social. Then flexibility is also introduced, and multidisciplinary also. We will talk about that later. And there are 5 goals of NEP 2020, which you should keep it in mind. Because whatsoever is ultimately done is ultimately to achieve these 5 goals. One is the access. Make higher education available to more and more people. Then quality. Then education should be available with equity. Then affordability. And then accountability. So these are the 5 goals, are so-called also 5 pillars of NEP 2020. Access becomes very important because according to this policy, the target is to achieve gross enrollment ratio of 50% by 2035. This becomes very significant because our current gross enrollment ratio is about 28%. So you can see from independence till today, we have gross enrollment ratio of 28%. And in the next 11 or 12 years, we have to reach the target of 50%, which is quite ambitious. And this is the meaning of equity when we say education should be available with equity, that is, social justice should be there. So this was just the spirit behind NEP 2020. Now the question is, why I am focusing on empowering you people? I mean, empowering teachers. See, the empowerment of teachers becomes important because the quality of an education system can never exceed the quality of its teachers. So if you want to raise the quality of education system, you must raise the quality of its teachers. You must raise the competence of its teachers. And this talk will focus on that. And once teachers are empowered, they in turn will empower their students. So that's the basic thinking behind this talk. You should remember that our greatest natural resource is the minds of our young children. India is one of the youngest nations of the world. 50% population less than 25 years. 65% population less than 35 years. So this is a big demographic dividend, a big advantage for us. So we need to ready our children for future. And to a great extent, responsibility rests with you. Students may be 25% of our population, but then they are 100% of our future. This is something we have to keep it in mind. And we cannot afford to lose even a single child, because a child miseducated is a child lost. So we have demographic dividend, and we also need to ensure that every child gets the right education. So that way, your role becomes very, very important. That's why all this empowerment is the need of the hour. So having said that, now I will come to the traditional roles of a teacher in higher education. What are the traditional roles of a teacher? See, you will all agree that these are the 3 major roles of a teacher in higher education. One is disseminating knowledge. That means you are doing teaching. Then creating knowledge. You do research and you guide research. And then academic administration and management. And then a teacher is expected to excel in all the three roles. So, and all these three roles you are doing to a great extent. Now, what I think from my vast experience, that if you want to be an outstanding teacher or a researcher, you should have a very sound and deep knowledge in your subject. If there are some practical skills, you should be proficient in them. You should have clarity of concepts. And your teaching should not be just passing information. Your teaching should reflect the amount of thinking you have done on the subject. And then you should have the passion to become an outstanding teacher. So this is what is expected from a teacher or a researcher. And for an outstanding researcher, besides what I have said, you also need to be an out-of-box thinker. An analytical mind you should have. You should be innovative and creative. And then 4 C's: curiosity, creativity, courage, and conviction. All these things are must for being an outstanding researcher. And one more thing, both for an outstanding teacher or a researcher, you should have excellent communication and presentation skills. Every day in the classroom, you present your ideas, you communicate. So how good you are in your communication and presentation skills, that becomes very, very important. And please remember, no one will really take the pains to listen to your ideas until and unless your communication is effective and impressive. And you should all make efforts. Because sometimes when we were students, or I'm sure for most of you, there was no formal training of how to do communication or presentation, but you should make efforts. And please remember, all the great speakers were bad speakers at first. So you can always work hard and reach to the top. But you should make sincere efforts in that direction. So this was part A, what I have completed. That was more or less an introduction. Now I come to part B, where I will talk about the challenges in the 21st century for all of us. See, we are living in an information age. So first, which we want to understand is what are the challenges of the present information age. See, this information age poses many challenges. First is the challenge of uncertainty with respect to jobs. There is a future of jobs report published by the World Economic Forum, based on which you can say that we are not sure in which jobs our students will be employed tomorrow. Those jobs may not be even existing at present. So this is going to be a big challenge. Uncertainty with respect to jobs. Then, this is also an age where more and more students over the next 30 years will graduate, because all universities, institutions are trying to increase the gross enrollment ratio. And traditional jobs are becoming less. And the takers will be many. So many would be graduating. So that will create a tough competition. Even now you hear that even if there are 100 vacancies, thousands of people apply, or even lakhs. So that shows a tough competition in future. And this is going to become tougher and tougher in the times to come. Then this is also an age of artificial intelligence. See, artificial intelligence is transforming the world. This is an age where the artificial intelligence will equal the intelligence of the students by the time they finish their formal education. So the question is, if I can have machines with the same intelligence as you, then why do I need you? So that's going to be a question. And as you all know, artificial intelligence is killing jobs. All those jobs which are of repetitive or of predictable nature, which require no critical thinking, no critical analysis, no research base, no specialization, all those jobs are going to be in danger in future. Mainly because of artificial intelligence, automation, and robotics. Even some people foresee a threat to the teaching profession also, if it is going to be just a repetitive one. And now, it is said, this is the picture of a brain. If you look at the left side, humans may not be required in future for the left brain functions. What are the left brain functions? Which involve numbers, analytical thinking, logic, etc. This will all be done by artificial intelligence. Because, anything which can be measured by numbers can be solved by artificial intelligence models. So, in the times to come, the focus will be more on right brain functions. And what are the right brain functions? Creativity, emotional intelligence, critical thinking, imagination. All these are the things which will be in demand in future. So, in view of all the challenges which I have told you with respect to the information age, the challenge before you as a teacher is going to be now what to teach and how to teach, so that our students, our children are able to succeed in a future which is so uncertain. So this is going to be a big challenge. The second challenge is the sustainable development goals. First was the challenges of the information age, which I told you. Now the second is the sustainable development goals. So see, sustainable development, I hope you will all agree, is the burning issue in the world at present. Everybody talks about sustainable development. And sustainable development basically means economic development generally, and sustainable means which can be maintained for a long time. So we are more concerned also about our future generations. Mahatma Gandhi once said that we must care about the world which we will not live to see. So that's the basic thinking behind sustainable development. And why there is so much concern about sustainable development? You can see here, these are the points. Population is increasing. Today, we have population close to 8 billion. By 2050, it will be 9.7 billion. So population explosion. And population explosion means pressure on all resources. Then fast depletion of resources, including food, minerals, other natural resources. Another problem. There is going to be a problem of water scarcity. FAO report says that by 2025, 1.8 billion people will face acute water crisis. Then problem of environmental degradation, you already see that. And then climate change, rising sea levels and increase in atmospheric temperature. These are the common problems which are we witnessing in the world. And therefore, education, who will address to these problems? It is the education. So education needs to address to these concerns for creating a sustainable future. And that is the reason why in 2015, United Nations gave 17 sustainable development goals, which are to be achieved by 2030. And these are the 17 sustainable development goals, which you can see on the right side. No poverty, zero hunger, good health, quality education. Quality education is one of the goals. Then gender equality and climate change and all that. These are the 17 goals. And achieving these 17 sustainable development goals is called what is known as United Nations Agenda 2030. So that means by 2030, we have to achieve all these goals. So in this agenda, 193 countries signed, including India. We are all signatory to this. So United Nations gave the goals, but United Nations did not give any roadmap. Why? Because, world is full of diversity and the nature of problem varies from region to region. So there is no single solution for the entire world's problem. So this is something which is very important, and these 17 goals are very important. And please remember, these sustainable development goals represent the real world problems. And their solution calls for a multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approach. See, in our education system, we today talk about multidisciplinary. This idea basically comes from here. Look at the problem of climate change. Now, you cannot solve the problem of climate change just by the knowledge of one discipline. You need to know climatology, political science, economics, green technology, sociology, etc. So a multidisciplinary approach is required. So this is the thinking behind multidisciplinary approach, because multidisciplinary education will allow students to gain a deeper understanding of the subject matter through the lens of different disciplines. So that's the basic strength of this. And all these sustainable development goals are so important that long back in 2015, because when these goals came in 2015, Prime Minister Modi said that much of India's development agenda is mirrored in the sustainable development goals. And recently we had the G20 meeting. Even the entire G20 agenda is aligned with its working with the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. So you can see how important are these sustainable development goals. And I told you that one of the goal is quality education, which is the goal number 4. And this is the goal: ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all. So this is one of the goal, which is the sustainable development goal. And please note that our new education policy 2020 also talks about these things. So inclusive, equitable, quality education, lifelong learning, all these are also talked about in our NEP 2020. See, these goals came in 2015, NEP came in 2020. So it has links with that. That is why it is said that the various provisions of NEP 2020 are basically based on Sustainable Development Goal 4. That means it is aligned with SDG 4. So this is something you have to keep it in mind. I'm sure many of you would be knowing this already, but for those who did not know, they have to understand this link. And why I am putting it in this talk here, because this is one of the challenges which our education sector will face, how to achieve the goals. The third challenge is the 21st century learning needs. So let's look at what are the learning needs of the 21st century. See, it is said in the 21st century, if you want to excel, at least you need 2 things: rigorous academic content, you should be very good in the subject, and then you should have 21st century skills. These two taken together lead to deeper learning. So question is now, what are these 21st century skills? Because these 2 things are must for the student to succeed and thrive. And these 21st century skills are these. These are a set of abilities which we all must have if we want to be successful in the modern era. And as you can see, 21st century skills are coming under three heads: learning skills, literacy skills, and life skills. Under learning skills, we have critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Under literacy skills, information literacy, media literacy, technology literacy, and then under life skills, flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills. So taken together, there are 12 skills broadly. These are going to be the real, deciding factor in this information age for the placement. They are going to help you in placement. You may ask the question why these skills have become so important. Because, you cannot have machines with these skills. You can't have a machine which is having leadership quality or which is having critical thinking. No. And then artificial intelligence can also not replicate them. Therefore, all those who will have these skills, they will have an advantage over the others. So that is why, these skills have become so important. And therefore, in the 21st century, quality education for holistic development will focus on these three things. This is a very important slide, please. You should have very good knowledge, disciplinary, interdisciplinary, and practical knowledge. Then you should have 21st century skills, and then domain-specific skills also. See, the skills which I just said, 21st century, they are soft skills. But then for every subject, there are some specific skills. You should have that. And the third thing is your values, your attitudes, your traits, disposition. That means your overall personality. And these three things taken together will determine your competence in future. How competent you are as a teacher will depend on these three things. How competent you are as an engineer, again, will depend on these three things. Maybe the knowledge will differ, skills may differ, but otherwise these three components will always be there. That is why now universities are focusing on skill enhancement courses, value-added courses, because they want to strengthen all the three components. They are trying to create a conducive learning environment, having adequate infrastructure. So that basically leading to holistic development. But please, one thing you should remember, no doubt the quality education is this, but the ultimate goal of education is always these three folds. One, to produce good human being, that is values-wise. Then a responsible citizen. And the third is a competent professional. And your competence will be determined by the three things which I just mentioned. And why all these things came now? This has a link to two very important observations made by the Supreme Court of India in 2013. What did Supreme Court of India say? That today's education has failed to reform human behavior. And with increase in literacy, there has been a decline in human values. Hence, there is a need for transformation in education system. So that's why we focus on values, all those things, because the overall human behavior should also be polished, should also change. So in the light of what I have said, now the aim is that we need to acquire competence for excellence in any profession through quality education. That's the ultimate aim. And quality education needs to produce competent professionals to address to the challenges of technological advancements, I told you, and then sustainable development. And this is the slide which gives you the summary. So if you want to enhance your competence, you improve on all the three things: knowledge, skills, and personality. These are the three, things which we acquired through education, because education is a process of facilitating learning, and learning can be of knowledge, learning can be of skills, learning can be of values, attitudes, etc. So all these three things determine your competence. These days people also talk about outcome based education. What are outcomes? Outcomes are also the combination of these three: knowledge, skills, and values. So this is ultimately what we have to achieve through education. So this also, in a looking from other perspective, this becomes a challenge for teacher also to impart all the three things to the students. See, when we were young students, we always focused more on knowledge. We didn't bother much about skills and personality also. We thought that everybody has some personality. Although, in civil services or in IAS, there is an interview which is called personality test, where they come to know your values. They put such questions where your real personality comes out. So all these things is what we need to do. So I've told to you about three challenges so far. The fourth is that, I'm talking in the context of education. So please remember that in the context, especially of higher education, we need to, there is a challenge of producing creative and innovative minds in India. That's also a challenge. Because, I personally feel that there is a crisis of innovation and creativity in Indian education system. Look at this. No Indian scientist working in India has been able to get Nobel Prize after 1930. C.V. Raman was the last person who got it for the discovery of Raman effect. After that, no Indian scientist has got working in India. For chemistry, nobody has ever got. These people did get Nobel Prizes, no doubt, but then they were non-resident Indians. Even Amartya Sen, although he is an Indian, but for decades he has been staying abroad. Even Abhijit Banerjee is an American citizen. So, there is a serious crisis of innovation and creativity. And please remember, Nobel Prize is not a lifetime achievement award. If you want to really excel in research at that level, you need to have an enormous amount of creativity and open-mindedness. So creativity is something very important. Then there should be a willingness to collaborate. See, our students, we teach them to become competitors with the others. Here we are talking about collaboration and then perseverance and resilience. We in India sometimes want immediate gains. We cannot work for very long. We want to finish it and get it. No, that may not be possible. There have been Nobel Prize winners who got Nobel Prize at the age of 97 years. So they kept on working. So all these things are required for excellence in research. And if you look at our rankings of our universities or institutions, the decline or we are not able to make a mark, one reason is our poor quality of research programs. And sometimes I feel that best students don't come to research, especially in science, I think so. Because after 12th, they will either go to engineering or to go to medicine. Very few people will come to pure science, and out of them, very few will come to research. So all this is the reason for poor world ranking. This was a report which was presented in Rajya Sabha. And look at this, the best science students are going to civil services now. Of all the candidates recommended between 2017 to 2021, over 76% were from science stream, covering engineering, sciences, and medicine. Only 23.6% were from humanities, etc. So, best of our science students are going there. So, why do we lack in quality research? Now you can understand. Ultimately, it has to do with our education system. I don't think we teach our students for doing research in future. No. Our education system just focuses so that they can get good marks. So there is a fundamental flaw in our education system. As a matter of fact, our education system is outdated and does not encourage thinking, innovation, and creativity amongst the students. I think this is one serious drawback. And then who can reform it? Only you can reform it. That's why, all these programs are conducted. And, without creativity, there can be no progress. And we would be forever repeating the same pattern. Because, whatsoever you teach to your students, ultimately, that is the result of research of some people. And if there is no creativity, no research, you will be just repeating the same thing. Even, if you look at research, what are the steps in research? These are all the steps in research. But the starting point is research problem, identifying the research problem. And for identifying research problem, you need creativity. Ideas should come to you. And ideas will come when you have a vast knowledge, you have the latest knowledge, you know where are the gaps, then you identify the problem. So again, creativity comes there. So you can see where, we sometimes try to treat symptoms rather than going to the root cause of the problem. And the root cause is our poor quality education system. We need to change that. For example, under this NEP 2020, a new research foundation has been created, NRF, National Research Foundation. But the main aim of this is to foster a strong research culture and then funding of the projects and then awarding outstanding research. All this will be done by NEP 2020. Funding, etc., is now in future going to be done by this National Research Foundation. But it will not do research for you. Research has to be done by you. And under this National Research Foundation, we'll have, these 4 divisions: science, technology, social sciences, art, and humanities. And a lot of budget has been proposed. 50,000 crores for the next 5 years has been proposed. So funding is going to change. But that's not the problem. Problem, as I mentioned, is thinking, creativity, etc. And their education system will have to change. Therefore, our next challenge comes that we need to enhance the quality of higher education imparted in India. That's the biggest challenge for us. So now I will focus on this challenge. See, in any education system, 3 things are very important. What do we teach? How do we teach? And how do we assess our students? So what do we teach? Ultimately comes curriculum, then pedagogies, and then examination. But if we look at our present education system, we have 21st century students, but sometimes we teach them 19th century content. Methods of teaching, methods of assessment, and the courses, architecture, all are old 20th century. Our education system has not changed much with the changing times. And I told you in one of my first slides, education is relevant only when it is able to serve the needs of the changing society. That is why we are not able to serve the needs. So this is the problem. Now look at the first aspect. What do we teach? Curriculum. Let's look at this. See, curriculum basically means a total learning experience. And the biggest challenge to curriculum is coming from the growth of knowledge. The knowledge in all disciplines is growing very, very fast. So fast that the doubling time of the growth of knowledge has shrunk considerably. Shelf life of knowledge is becoming shorter day by day. Look at this. There was a time when human knowledge was doubling in 150 years. Now this has come down to almost 73 days. So you can very well imagine how soon our knowledge is getting outdated. And that's a big, big challenge for all of us. What we know in any discipline is a drop, and what we do not know is an ocean. And somebody very rightly commented, in the modern world, curriculum becomes outdated as soon as it is created. Because in 73 days, it's getting doubled. So new things have come. So you can very well imagine how soon we will have to change ourselves, how fast. That's why the new education policy says our syllabi should be light, no doubt, because we should give our students more time for thinking. But then it should be modern because knowledge is growing very, very fast. And if you have outdated syllabi, suppose you have outdated syllabi, you don't change the syllabus, it affects the research because it increases the gap between what is learned and what should be learned. And this affects the quality of research. World is at a higher level, you are at a much lower level, so that will always be a problem for you. If today in many fields we are not able to become leaders and are still followers, one of the reasons is also this outdated syllabi in our education system. We also need to have a proper coordination between school and higher education. This was Bharat Ratna Professor C.N. Rao. He said that 90% of the universities in India have outdated curriculum. And sometimes, people don't change the syllabus because then they will have to work hard and prepare for a new paper. That should not be the thinking. In the modern world, we need to have skill-based and industry-led curriculum because the world is slowly shifting towards skill-based economy. Emphasis is going to be on practical knowledge and hands-on experience. And then teachers also need to be trained accordingly. Now skill enhancement courses have been added, but then the teachers teach the skills the same way as they teach knowledge. No, they need different approaches. Knowledge is theoretical, skills are practical. And multidisciplinary, I told you, this is also now coming. The second is pedagogy. How do we teach? And I think this is a very important, most important thing in education system. Pedagogy means art and science of teaching. See, we still follow the traditional talk and chalk method of teaching, which is textbook oriented. Emphasis is on completing the syllabus. You see, you listen to so many teachers, oh, I have finished the syllabus. So everything is basically teacher-centric. Teacher directs every process in the classroom. So this is our present method. But please remember that our classrooms have students who have different needs. They come from different educational backgrounds. They have different attention span and interests. They have different language abilities. They have different cultural backgrounds. And then we have very large classrooms where one-to-one attention cannot be paid. So all this, in the talk and chalk method, the further thing is problem is that we focus more on examination, rote learning, and scoring high marks. This is, I think, the real problem here. This is today's reality in every discipline. Nobody wants to learn the concept. Everybody wants to score 90 plus marks. Irony of our country is that the focus is on well-filled mind. We keep on filling the minds of young learners with more and more knowledge. But what we need is a well-formed mind, which comes out of thinking, innovation, and creativity. Real education, must transform the learners. Just as a seed gets transformed to plant, plant to tree, like that, the learner must be transformed. Even for quality research, strong foundations for quality research are laid during teaching learning. This is the time when the clarity comes, everything comes, you get an in-depth understanding of the topics, interconnection of the topics, clarity of concept, all this, and these laid the foundation for quality research. So, all these formative years are very, very important. Because, foundations you are building for the students. Some of these people, some of these students will become researchers tomorrow. So foundations come from here. And please remember, learning is not the product of teaching. Learning is the product of the activity of the learners. So that is the basic thinking. So the best way to make students learn anything is to engage them, involve them in activities, and then things will change. And the thinking behind learner-centric education is that students learn best when they are engrossed in the topic, motivated to seek out new knowledge and skills because they need them in order to solve the problems at hand. Let students think what they need in order to solve the problem. That is the basically purpose of learner-centric education. So what I mean to say is we need to shift from teacher-centric to learner-centric method of teaching. And all this is now possible in this information age. Experiential learning we talk, that is also a learner-centric education. You learn by experience. And the thinking of experiential learning, you all know, is I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. So doing means you will understand it better. And even in NEP 2020, fostering experiential learning and critical thinking among students is an important objective. So what I mean to say is, all of you, although you might have been taught by talk and chalk method, you must shift to learner-centric education. And this should be done from school level onwards. Because by the time students come to higher education, they are already 17, 18-year-old. It becomes very difficult to change them at that stage. And experiential learning or learner-centric has a very big, retention rate. You can see 75% is the retention rate of experiential learning, whereas a lecture has just a 5%. And in learner-centric education, there are many methods. There is no single method. You have to engage learners somehow, whether it is the problem-based learning or project-based learning or case studies or inquiry-based learning or flipped classroom or collaborative learning, TPS strategy, or community outreach, travel, museum tour, internship, undergraduate research program. All these are coming under learner-centric education. But, I am giving you only the challenges. Now, these have to be adopted in the classroom. And once you follow learner-centric education, learners will also change. Their roles will also change. In the talk and chat method, they are merely passive listeners. But now they will become active, highly independent, and creative thinker because they will do everything on their own. They will search. You guide them only. So look at these universities, Harvard, Stanford, and Wharton. Already for years, they have been following learner-centric methods of teaching. Case studies, experiential, project-based, problem-based learning, etc. Very little focus on lecture-based learning. That's why, it is said, if we teach today's student as we taught yesterday, we are going to rob them of tomorrow. So teachers must change with the changing times. That's the need of the hour. This was my article about creativity crisis in the Indian education system. This is about flipped classroom. And the third is assessment. How do we assess our students? That's the third component of education. Even NEP says we need to transform the culture of assessment. Because assessment drives learning. The way you will assess your students will start learning in that way. So it can be a good way to enhance the quality of education in the country. You change the system of assessment. Our examination system, if you look at, it is rote-based, mainly about textbook content, testing facts, definition there. If something comes from outside the textbook, there is a protest, people say it is out of syllabus, etc. That's our thinking. And then our traditional examination do not assess the skills that industry needs. And then that is why, new education policy says that assessment process needs to be made more scientific to encourage multiple skills of the students. And what are those multiple skills? Analytical thinking, critical thinking, conceptual clarity, and all that. So that is how it has to be changed. And in changing the system of assessment, again, only teachers can play a very important role. See, at present, we have about 4 crore students enrolled in higher education. They are all appearing in examinations at various levels. What type of questions do we set? That determines the quality. So your role is very important because your competence, your creativity, your skills matter a lot. For example, now common university entrance test has become very popular, MCQ based. But then this may be very easy to evaluate, but then it has some serious limitations. With this multiple choice questions, it's not possible to measure the ability to apply knowledge to complex problems or solve problems. There is no opportunity to the students to demonstrate the depth of their knowledge. There is no opportunity to showcase their creative, logical, and analytical skills. And oral skills or writing skills, they are not tested at all. So these are serious limitations. But somehow MCQs have become very popular. I remember long back when in CBSE came, I wrote this article in Times of India's Education Times, how to crack CBSE MCQs exam. But what I mean to say, but this is not a complete picture. This does not succeed everywhere. Therefore, because there is a revised Bloom's taxonomy for cognitive domain, which says that learning takes you from remembering up to creativity. 6 levels are there. So in cognitive domain, there are 6 learning outcomes: remembering, understanding, application. So all these 6 outcomes should be tested in an examination. Generally, our examination system tests only remembering or understanding. The rest things we don't test. Therefore, this is the ideal combination for lower order thinking skills or for lower outcomes. You can have MCQs, short question answer, match, fill in the blanks, etc. But for higher orders, you need projects or internships or e-portfolios, etc. So it should be the blend of these tools, which is ideal for, multiple skills of the students. Then another challenge is we need to embrace technology and become tech savvy. So technology is another challenge for all of you. See, it's very difficult to imagine education without technology in the 21st century. So you all will have to become tech savvy also. This is another challenge. Even new education policy says that the relationship between technology and education is bidirectional. Technology enhances the quality of education, and enhanced quality of education further helps in improving the technology. So that way it is bidirectional. We are all so much dependent on internet, you already know. We are so much without it. Internet has become an important educational tool. But, too much use of technology is also proving, harmful, because technology should be used strategically to benefit the student. Excessive use of technology has, adversely affected the creativity of our students. They have stopped thinking. They have even stopped writing. They don't know how to write with the hand. These are some of the serious drawbacks of using technology excessively. Then India is entering an era of education 4.0 now. So you can see how the technology is changing. These are the various industrial revolutions which have taken place in the history. 1 is over, 2 is over, 3 is over. We are now in Industrial Revolution 4 and in 5. And then there are corresponding education systems. Because each historical industrial revolution creates a system of education that addresses its needs. Because, once new technologies come, a new industrial revolution takes place. And the workforce for that industrial revolution must come out of education system. So education system also changes accordingly. And that change in education system also changes the society. So the three are interlinked. Industrial revolution, education, and society. Presently, we are having Industrial Revolution 4. The corresponding education is 4.0, society is 4.0. The same will happen with 5. And these are now going to be the new technologies which are already dominating the world. We will talk about this in another talk. Artificial intelligence, robotics, virtual reality, Internet of Things, augmented reality, data science, gamification. These are the technologies. So you have to learn all these things, how they will change the education system. So you can see how the education scenario is changing. But please remember, technology will never replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers is highly transformational. If you want to excel, be a great teacher and then become tech savvy. That combination can do wonders for you. This was my report in Times of India. Technology won't replace teachers. So this is my article about how education 4.0 will work for coming generations. We will take it up in another talk. So ladies and gentlemen, you can now very well see how education in future is going to be an amalgamation of the transformations driven by education 4.0, 5.0, NEP 2020, pandemic, emerging student needs, and new technologies. All these will change the education system, and they are already. Only thing is, you need to change now. And in the light of whatsoever I have said so far, the roles of the teachers are going to change now significantly. These are going to be the new roles. You have to become tech savvy in ICT skills. If students are enrolled in e-learning or MOOCs, if they have some question, who will you answer? You will answer. You must learn how to manage virtual classroom, discussion forum. Then you should also learn learner-centric pedagogies, which I told you, learner-centric education. Then that means teachers will become more or less a facilitator, not only the knowledge provider. There was a time when teacher was considered to be the source of knowledge, no longer now. Now there are so many sources of knowledge. Then you should also become proficient in the development of e-content and MOOCs. So many MOOCs are there, so many e-content, e-learning mechanisms are there, resources are there. Who has prepared them? It is the teachers only. So these are going to be the new roles. You can see. And therefore, it is said, a change of mindset is required in each one of you. Don't think what I know is enough. No, you must learn more. There is a very famous quote, birds born in a cage think flying is an illness. So change your mindset. And therefore, I can say that the key to meeting challenges of higher education in future lies in the regular empowerment of the teachers. That is why, regular empowerment of the teachers is a must in order to prepare them to meet the challenges of the future. Regular professional development. And professional development is a journey and not a destination. The way the world is changing, every month you should do one professional course in a new topic, new field, and learn all the things. And I always say about the teaching profession that the best mind should come to the teaching profession. There should also be some teacher education at the time of recruitment. Tell them how to teach. That something is missing sometimes in higher education. There should be good promotional avenues for the teachers. There should be awards and fellowships for excellence in teaching. Most of the awards in higher education are for excellence in research. Very few awards for teaching. That's why sometimes teaching gets neglected. Then you should have conceptual clarity, skills, practical training, professional development. All these are must. And now I come to the last part, C, and that is I will share with you some personality development tips for enhancing your competence. If you remember, I showed you this slide earlier. I have talked about knowledge, how education system should change, about skills also. Now we come to personality. These three things will determine your competence. And please remember, if one of them is weak, your competence will be adversely affected. So you have to be good in all the three. And, iceberg phenomena is applicable to competence also. Knowledge and skills are like above sea level. They are known to everybody. But personality is, as you can see, below the sea, unknown to others. It's only when you deal with people, then you come to know their true colors or their true personality. So this iceberg model you should keep always in mind. That is why every human being is an enigma, because personality is always hidden till you deal or live with that person. And personality refers to a set of traits and behaviors that characterize an individual. I don't mean personality by simply looks. No, that's not. It's the traits and behaviors. And why personality is important? Look at this. 87% of all people fail, not because of capability, but because of personality. And the worst part is that most of the people do not know that their own personality is coming in the way of their job performance. Because, personality development is often neglected in India. There is no real focus on that you should cultivate all these things in your life. And by the time they realize, it's already very late. Therefore, your personality, it won't be wrong if I say, can transform your future. And that's why in this talk, I am giving you some personality development tips in the form of life lessons to enhance your competence. See, at this age, at this age where you are, or where we all are, it becomes difficult to change personality, no doubt. But still, if you make some efforts, certainly you can improve, because that's the plus point about personality. At any age, by making efforts, you can change it. And why I'm talking, please remember that I'm giving you the tips based on my own experience. Look at this quote. Life can only be understood backwards, but then it must be lived forwards. So just what I have understood, I am giving it to you so that you can live it forwards. So first thing which I feel is you should learn the art of living. You have come in this world to live. Unfortunately, most of people only exist. Living has become very rare. So learn the art of living. And you only live once. But if you do it right, I think one is more than enough. But then the question is, what is that right living? So, this is a very good quote. A grandmother telling the granddaughter, life is only a short trip, enjoy it. Life looks like an eternity, but actually it's only a short trip. So please think keep it in your mind that you are in this world on a short trip. Any time this trip may be over. You don't know, really. We only know our date of birth. We do not know our date of death. So it's a short trip. That's basically what it is saying. So when I talk about the art of living, it means the capability to draw pleasure from life and to succeed in the greatest test called life. You should be successful in this test of life. Look at this. This is, World Happiness Report. India is almost at the bottom. People are stressed. They don't enjoy. They are always thinking, always under pressure. Even if they are sitting alone, they are on world, mind is moving in so many thoughts. So that's a big problem. But please remember, you will never find a happy life. You will have to make it. Nobody will give you on a platter that this is the happy life. दर्पण में मुख और संसार में सुख होता नहीं, बस दिखता है. ये याद रखिएगा इसको. So one tip for you is be proactive in life. And these tips which I am telling you, even if you follow them now, it can change your life. Be proactive in life. By proactive, people means you focus on preparing. If you are reactive, you end up focusing on repairing. So be proactive in life. Proactive people don't wait for the ship to come in, they swim out. That's the meaning of proactivity. And if you want to be successful in life, self-belief is very important. Believe in yourself. A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because her trust is not in the branch but in her own wings. That's the trust you should have in yourself. Only then you will be able to succeed if you believe that you will or you can. And one who believes in himself has no need to convince others. That's a simple rule. So try to get this confidence or belief in yourself. This is very, very important. Then never become arrogant in life. Sometimes a small success goes into a person's head and they become arrogant. Don't do that. Arrogance is the surest path to failure. कभी किसी चीज का घमंड आ जाए तो शमशान का एक चक्कर लगा आना, तुमसे बेहतरीन लोग वहां राख बने पड़े. So keep this thing in mind. You will always be very, humble and polite and never become arrogant. Ego will be not there. Remember, you are dust and to dust you shall return. So if you keep this idea in mind, you will not become arrogant. Keep this reality of life in mind. Then self-discipline is another thing which I think is very important for each one of you. When I say self-discipline, it means, see, you are a person, you should learn how to control yourself, mastery over your thoughts. Your mind is always thinking. Mind is also like an app, always doing something. So you should control it so that you can control what you think. And once you control what you think, you can always control what you do. So self-discipline is very important because the heaviest burden that we carry are the thoughts in our head. So don't let it happen. There is nothing in this world that can trouble you more than your own thoughts. So self-discipline can help you to a great, great extent. And if you can learn self-control, you can master anything. See, if you read the biographies of some big people, they learned this habit very soon, very young age. Self-control. Yes, they can always switch on, switch off. A very unique, sometimes it looks, but then they can do that. Then this will also lead you to become mentally tough. Because mental toughness is the ability to focus on and execute solutions whenever you face some times of adversity. There you need mental toughness. It will prepare you for that also. Start doing it now. From today itself, you will see a change in your life. And then always strive for excellence. A penguin can never become a giraffe. So try to be the best penguin you can be. In whatsoever line you are good, try to excel in that. Become a great teacher. You will be in big demand. Become a great researcher. If you are in one who is in film industry, become a director. Great. Anyway, excellence should be the key. Then be positive and honest. This is for you to keep it. You don't need to tell to the world, because have a positive mindset. This is very important, because always positive thinking will help you. Because positive thinkers will have a solution for every problem, and negative thinkers will have a problem for every solution. And we meet all these types of people in our daily life. Become a positive thinker. Then, you are all young people. You must be working very hard, but work hard sensibly. Because you are spending your life's time on any work. And in respect of working hard, direction is more important than speed. Choose your direction very carefully. Sometimes we spend more time planning our vacation rather than planning our career. Choose your direction very carefully and then follow it. Because you are always free to choose any direction, but then you will not be free from the consequences of your choice. So be very careful. And please remember, life is a process. No one rises suddenly in this world, not even the sun. It is the sustained efforts in the right direction that you keep on making, and you will reach the top. Be persistent. Never give up. But the starting point is direction is very important. Choose your direction very carefully. And then many people are not able to make a mark because they are living in a comfort zone. Please remember, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Some people think, oh, I am getting a permanent job. My husband or wife getting good salary. Children are well set. Why should I bother? So that becomes a comfort zone for you. Avoid that. Because it's only after you have stepped out of your comfort zone that you begin to change, grow, and transform. And there is often a fear of failure in many of us. Overcome that. प्लीज रिमेंबर, जब तक तुम डरते रहोगे तुम्हारी जिंदगी के फैसले कोई और लेता रहे. So overcome the fear of failures. Failures can be the pillars of success depending on how you take them. Mindset, again, important. And your attitude towards failure determines your altitude after failure. It's all, see, attitude, again, mindset. So you can see everything depends on you in this brain, what is there. So you can control through that. That is the central processing unit, you can say, your mind. And then stop worrying and start living. Many people, are not able to, they're always thinking, they are always worried. Oh, what will happen? What will happen? Somehow that habit is there. And please remember, worry is a misuse of your imagination. You suffer more in imagination than in reality. And somebody very rightly said that one day you will look back and realize that you worried too much about things that don't really matter. But by that time would have gone and you can't undo it. And this realization comes to everybody. So control it now. Best things is, don't worry about the things which are out of your control. Worry only about the things which are in your control. And what is in your control? It is your attitude, your effort, your focus. Why you worry about what others will think, what will be the outcome of my efforts, what will be my in future, all that, what is the opinion of others? These are the things not in your hand. Have a clear demarcation. Yes, this is in my control, forget. Again, everything depends on you. And, this is very good. Don't waste time impressing others. If you knew how quickly people forget the dead, you would stop living to impress people. Just nobody bothers, life passes, just people and things change and life somehow goes on. And by the time all things are realized by the person, time has gone, life has already been over. So the prudence demands that you should act now. And about life, you please remember one thing. Life will never be fair for you. Anybody. जिंदगी बहुत कुछ देकर भी किसी ना किसी चीज के लिए फकीर बनाए रखती है. बिल्कुल ये रियलिटी मैं बता रहा हूं आपको. तो जस्ट सीखने वाला चाहिए. जिंदगी अपने आप ही आपको बहुत कुछ सिखा रही है. And then control anger. This is also a very normal emotion in many of young people. But please remember that the fire of anger will burn you first. So why to put yourself in problem? And never say mean words out of anger. This is a very common habit because your anger will pass, but your mean words can scare a person for life. So use either kind words or be silent. When you are angry and if you are able to keep yourself silent, it's a great strength. You need to do that. Try to do this. Sometimes people say if you are angry, count up to 10 before you speak. And if you are very angry, count up to 100 before you speak. You will calm down. But one thing you should remember, this is a psychological reading, that beneath anger, there is always some fear. So whenever you get angry, there is some fear in your mind. और एक ये बहुत अच्छी टिप है आप सबके लिए. किसी पर ज्यादा नाराज होने से बेहतर है कि अपने जीवन में उसकी अहमियत को ही कम कर. दिस इज अ वेरी यूजफुल टिप फॉर यू. लाइफ टिप. यस. माइंड को बदल दो. ठीक है, थोड़े दिन में सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा. And then, of course, time management is very important. Time management is life management. Look at the Amitabh's quote. कल खो दिया आज के लिए, आज खो दिया कल के लिए. कभी जी ना सके हम आज के लिए, बीत रही है जिंदगी कल, आज और कल के लिए. That is how the whole life passes. Please remember, every day is once in a lifetime. So invest your time, don't spend it. Time is what we want most, but what we use worst. Very sad. बंधी हैं हाथ पर सबके घड़ियां, मगर पकड़ में किसी के एक लम्हा भी नहीं. So just, and please remember, no time is wrong for the right thing. This also you should have. Some people think when time is never ready to wait for us, then why do we always wait for the right time? No time is wrong to do right things. And then you should also live in the moment. This is the best way. Live in the moment. Don't think too much. Because the present moment is the only moment available to us, and it is the door to all the moments. And life becomes more meaningful when you realize the simple fact that you will never get the same moment twice. So make the best use of the present time. And sometimes, you will never know the true value of a moment until it becomes a memory. You don't know when any moment can become a memory for you. And one, have a very high opinion of yourself. Just look at this. Having a low opinion is not modesty, it is self-destruction. Hold yourself in high esteem. It's a necessary precondition for happiness and success. Think high of yourself. Yes, why not? You are unique, no one can match you. You may not be perfect in many things, agreed. But then many things cannot be perfect without you also. So stay special in your own little ways. Then challenge yourself. So ladies and gentlemen, now I'm coming to the end. At the end of the day, you must have noticed whatsoever I have told you, your biggest competition is with you only. Be your own king. You should not let become the puppet of your mind. You should become the master of your mind. And you are a king only if you know how to rule yourself. So rule yourself. That's what is required. You don't have the problem. You are the problem. Your mindset, your entire thing. स्वर्ग भी तू है, नर्क भी तू है. इन दोनों का फर्क भी तो, कोई और स्वर्ग नरक नहीं है, सब कुछ यही है। ऐसे ही हमारे लोगों के, मुझे लगता है, कई बार बनाया हुआ है। जिंदगी छोटी नहीं होती, लोग जीना ही असल में देर से शुरू करते हैं, और जब तक रास्ते समझ में आते हैं तब तक लौटने का वक्त हो चुका हो। एंड देन इट्स नेवर टू लेट टू बी व्हाट यू माइट हैव बीन। इफ द अवेकनिंग हैज कम टू यू, चेंज योर लाइफ फ्रॉम टुडे। See, you may be already 30, 40, 50, whatsoever is your age. So whatsoever time has gone, that has gone, but still you can change your life. Challenges keep us fresh. You know, there is a very famous quote: a ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are built for. Similarly, you know, humans are not designed to be happy in status quo. So continue to remain dissatisfied with yourself so that you can become better and better. Challenges are what keep us fresh. This is a good principle to have in life. Don't take every challenge as a problem, take every problem as a challenge. So that's why it is said challenges are the doorways to excellence. These are the opportunities in disguise. And today I have told you so many challenges. Almost entire higher education scenario I have covered and given you an overview of the challenges. These are the opportunities for you. Now, there is a very famous quote: when the winds of change blow, some people build walls and others build windmills. It's up to you how you make use of your opportunities. So these are the lessons people learn too late in life, but I'm telling you, everything is temporary in this world. Stay connected, but don't get attached. Life is not fair, I told you. Beneath anger, there is always fear. Things don't matter that much. People matter. Once people leave your life, they create a vacuum, but then that's a part of life. A lifetime is not very long. You may be already 30, 40, 50-year-old, so other life will also pass. You played it too safe. You should have taken risks in life. Then life has no reset button. Live every day like it's your last day. And you know, realization comes to everybody in life, no doubt. But generally, by the time realization comes, it's too late. That's why I'm telling you all these things today, so that you don't have to regret later on. देखिए, ये बड़ी अच्छी कोट है: समय और समझ दोनों एक साथ बस किस्मत वालों को ही मिलते हैं, क्योंकि अक्सर समय पर समझ नहीं आती और समझ आने पर समय निकल चुका होता। सो प्लीज don't take them just as a quote. There is so much hidden meaning behind them. These are life's experiences hidden in these words. Try to understand them. ये गाना है, मैं कई बार लगता हूं, पता नहीं, देख ले। खतरे की जिंदगी क्या दुनिया है मौज दरिया, खतरे की जिंदगी क्या। पानी में मिल के पानी, अंजाम ये पानी, पानी अंजाम ये पानी। दम भर को सांस ले ले, दम भर को सांस ले ले, ये जिंदगी के मेले, दुनिया में कम न होंगे अफसोस। Anyway, see, this song came in 1950s, but still it seems so relevant even in the present scenario. दुनिया जिसे कहते हैं जादू का खिलौना है, जो मिल गया वो मिट्टी और जो ना मिला वो सोना. So one day you will be just a memory for some people. Do your best to be a good. That's what I would say, and this is my last slide. जिंदगी के रंगमंच पर अपना किरदार इतनी शिद्दत से निभाएं कि पर्दा गिरने के बाद भी तालियां बजती रहें. जिंदगी नहीं मिलेगी दोबारा. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I think I took a little more time, but yes, I wanted to complete it. Thanks for your patient hearing. This is my cell, this is my email. Please remain in touch and give your feedback. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for taking us on a journey of that we have to take, the kind of journey that we should be taking. So I think beginning from what we teach, I think how we teach and how we assess, I think you somewhere in between told us this, which should be the mantra of our journey in the education. I think we have to understand. And also, sir, I think it was so important when you said that technology won't replace teachers, but I think technology savvy teachers would. So we have to understand that and move in the direction in which we also become a very important and an important part of this journey of education. And last but not the least, I would I thank you for the personality development tips that you gave. I think it is very important that, which I think these are the tips which nobody else gives us, and which are so useful. With each quote that you were saying, I think I felt that, yes, this is what we should be following. And yes, why we bother so much. I think with each of your quotes, that was a thought that was coming to my mind. So I think these important tips should remain with us forever and should help us to groom ourselves in this journey. So I really thank you a lot for telling us all about this. Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much, Sarita. I sometimes feel that nobody gave us these tips when we were young students. Nobody gave
That's
us.
true.
I
Yes.
think our life would have been different had somebody emphasized on these aspects. They always focus on teaching, 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 learning, education, and this aspect of your competence gets neglected. And then you
Uh,
realize it now.
So I think not only in this journey of teaching, but also otherwise in life, so many of these tips are applicable there also. Don't bother about people. So many tips that you said are so important in life to make you at peace with yourself, so that you are at peace with life in general. I think it's really nice to hear these things, and if we are able to follow even some of them, I think they would really make a difference to our life. So thank you so
Thank you
much
very much.
for telling us all about this, sir.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you
such
so
a,
much, sir.
yeah,
And Sarita, I think today we'll not have time for any questions and all. Anyhow, we'll be having more sessions from sir. So I think I'll request Professor Vedprakash sir also has joined. If he can be on video, and we welcome you, sir. Can we put him on spotlight?
I can't see. Is sir's
Yeah,
video
I
on?
think sir has joined. Yes.
He's there.
Yeah, yeah. Good morning, sir, and welcome, please.
Good morning.
Sir, को spotlight पे कर दो.
हाँ, मैं करती हूँ, एक मिनट आए.
Just a minute. Yeah.
Good evening, Professor Bakshi. Good evening, Sarita ji,
Good evening, sir.
Vimal,
Good evening, sir.
Mamta ji, Babita ji, and all other colleagues.
Sir का good morning है. Good morning to you, sir. And
Good morning.
Good morning. हमारे यहाँ good night होने वाला है.
we wish we are on the same time zone very soon, sir. Our next batch. Okay. So Sarita, I think are we through with the vote of thanks?
Yeah,
Sir?
we are.
Okay. So for sir, yeah.
I can talk as much as
No, but time will
this.
not permit that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take it further. So once again, thank you so much, Professor Bakshi, sir. And now we take the session to the next, again, very enlightening session going to be from Professor Ved Prakash, sir. And all of you are knowing him well, but then it becomes my responsibility He does not need any introduction, but still, very briefly, I will like to touch upon that. Just a minute.
Vimal, there is no need. Let
Sir,
me
thoda sa.
finish it.
So,
कोई नहीं.
Professor Vedprakash sir, a distinguished name in
All
Indian academia, has the unique distinction of spearheading the University Grants Commission, that is UGC, the apex regulator of higher education in India, as its chairman, vice chairman, and secretary. Under his stewardship, the UGC has made significant strides in the areas of curricular reforms, internationalization, basic scientific research, skill education, gender and social equity in higher education, to name a few. He has to his credit the transformation of National Institute of Education Planning and Administration into a university, where he also served as its founder vice chancellor. In a stellar career of more than 45 years, he had made seminal contribution as advisor education in the Planning Commission of India, Chairman National Council for Teacher Education, Professor and Head DEME NCRT, Joint Director of Staff Selection Commission, Government of India, to name a few. And rather, at this point, I will like to mention that he has even declined more than 15 positions that he was offered in this span. A US Fulbright scholar, Professor Vedprakash sir, has also been visiting faculty at University of Windsor, Canada, a guest faculty at HIID, Harvard University, consultant to the World Bank. He has the distinction of being an interlocutor under prestigious US International Visitor Leadership Program. He has the honor of serving as a member of the jury of our notable UNESCO APIT Venhui Award for Educational Innovation for 10 long years. He represented India in numerous bilateral and multilateral forums in about 13 foreign countries. He has published extensively on a wide spectrum of areas concerning school education, higher education planning, and administration. And he has been conferred with many coveted awards and honors for his contribution in the field of education. Sir, we are so blessed that we have your mentoring and guidance there for all these programs. And we are really looking for your session on this again. I think you'll be also covering some insights of NEP, also trying to cover up with the global requirements in this scenario. And let's see how the challenges and opportunities in higher education are there in this slide. So over to you, sir. Welcome once again.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Vimal, for the kind words that you have used. I enjoyed some part of Professor Bakshi's lecture, so I'm grateful to him as well. And once again, very good evening to all the participants who have joined this program from different parts of the country. Though this is the program relating to the orientation of the national education policy, but I believe that by now you must have familiarized yourself with the different aspects of the national education policy. And therefore, I am going to do something different today. I will not be entering intensively into the domain of the national education policy. I would like to give you the international scenario. I would also like to shift some key insights from what is happening around the world insofar as higher education is concerned. And I would also like to be reflecting a little what is the way forward. What kind of future universities and colleges would we be requiring, and what kind of orientation they will have to provide to higher education in order to remain in the arena of offering programs relating to higher education. If you look at the national education policy, which we have brought out after a gap of 34 long years, there are about 21 key aspects insofar as higher education is concerned, commencing from the expectations from the policy to the vision, the structural changes that we have proposed in higher education, what we have in our mind insofar as assessment and evaluation is concerned, open and distance learning, use of technology, internationalization, skilling. And we have also talked about the integration of values and ethics in higher education. And we have talked about the recruitment of faculty, research, financing of higher education, and a regulatory mechanism and effective governance. So I believe that you are quite familiar with the policy intents. I do not want to spend, as I said, this time sharing all that has been proposed in the national education policy in terms of programmatic, structural, and regulatory changes and their implications. You can ask me questions on that once I am done with something which I consider would be of more important for you to know. I would like to share with you some global scenario and global trends, which will give you an idea how the higher education is shaping up across the globe in terms of number of institutions, inclusivity, gender equality, quality, various kinds of learning pathways, quality assurance, recognition of qualification, financing of higher education, and the way forward. I will begin with the UNESCO, actually. UNESCO has been championing the right to education at all levels. UNESCO appears to be convinced that making higher education freely accessible and guaranteed for all is essential. UNESCO believes that tuition-free public higher education is an important step in this direction. Free access to quality higher education may have significant implications on the future means of production and distribution. And the way the population on this planet works and lives would depend a great deal on their higher education qualifications. Free access to quality higher education for all appears imminent for realizing the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which the UN, for which the UN has set a deadline by 2030. A recent policy paper from the UNESCO's International Institute for Higher Education in Latin America and Caribbean argues that removal of tuition fees in higher education increases social demand for higher education and ultimately the levels of educational attainments of the population. UNESCO has carried out a survey of about 146 member countries, spanning from all the parts of the world. This survey has revealed that while 29% of the nation states have already mandated by law to provide free higher education, 68% of the countries do not offer that kind of a guarantee. There are a couple of member states which have not provided the data because that responsibility lies with the subnational government. It is not with the federal government in those countries. This survey also reveals that nearly half of the member states in Central Asia and Central and Eastern Europe and Latin America, they provide free public higher education to their people. In the sub-Saharan region, nearly 30% of the member states mandated free higher education for their people. They are not very rich country, yet they have made that kind of a provision for the purposes of empowering their people. Even in the North America and Western Europe, nearly 20% of the member states had been mandated by law to provide free higher education. In Arab region and East Asia, they presented a different case since only few member states in that region, and in East Asia, they are mandating free higher education. If you look at the income group countries, actually, I mean, if you undertake the analysis of the countries with the kind of income which is per capita available there, only about 20% of the low income and lower middle income countries are able to mandate free higher education compared to 40% of the upper middle countries. And in contrast, only 10% of the high income countries have mandated free higher education. It is the low income and lower middle income countries that need special global attention. Higher inequity in population with higher education would certainly, I mean, impact the global development agenda, which the UNESCO has come up with. India, if you look at our own country, we provide free higher education to some select group of persons. Most central funded higher educational institutions are mandated to provide free education to the children coming from the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and the OBC categories. But in addition to these centrally funded higher educational institutions, there are also some states wherein we have mandated similar provision for free higher education up to the postgraduate level for girls and socially deprived sections of their domicile. I mean, the children have to be the domicile of those particular states to access free higher education. Universal access to quality higher education essentially hinges on the ability of the state to provide quality higher education at affordable cost, if not free. I mean, there are two aspects of it. One is that you are making the higher education accessible free of charge. The another one is that you are making higher education available at an affordable cost, which means that you will create provisions to support children who enter into the domain of higher education, but financially they are not able to meet out the demands. So they are provided financial assistance in various forms, either by individual institution or by the provincial governments or by the federal government. India has had a policy of providing higher education. I mean, this free or higher education at an affordable cost, either through public institutions or through grant in aid institutions. That kind of provision is not made in institutions which are in the hands of the private service providers. These public institutions and grant in aid institutions, they have no motivation to make a profit actually. And thus with government support, they provide higher education at an affordable cost for nearly half a century since independence. But this situation has changed as the country moved towards economic liberalization, privatization, and globalizations since 90s. This has led to slow but steady withdrawal of the state from higher education. The kind of resources which are made available either through the federal government or through the provincial governments, they are not keeping pace with the growing enrollment. And this has led to rapid rise in high fees charging higher educational institutions in our country. The process initially started with professional, technical, and medical higher education, but soon it has engulfed all kinds and all types of higher education institutions. The trend now manifests in public higher educational institutions as well in the form of self-financing courses. And institutions were forced to offer these self-financing courses because they were not getting the kind of resources required to sustain those programs. And this has also, again, created some kind of inequity in the society, because every child is not able to access these so-called self-financing programs, which we have started on the campuses of our public institutions. Cost recovery has now become a norm rather than an exception, actually. The ever increasing cost in private as well as in public institutions become a real barrier to accessing higher education. And the fact that nearly 60% of the population in India is provided free food to survive, and that only 2.97% of people pay income tax. Affordability is a real challenge in accessing quality higher education. And which is why you would have noticed that the participation rates of children coming from the marginalized section of the society, or the other weaker sections actually, in so-called market-oriented programs is abysmally low in comparison to the children coming from the affluent families. The past decade has seen a significant growth in enrollment. Yet, there are millions and millions of youth in the age cohort of somewhere between 18 to 23, somewhere between 18 to 24 around the world, who are not having access to higher education. The enrollment has increased in all groupings, but at a different rates. In our own country, if you see the gross enrollment ratio of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, though it has increased in the recent past, but it leaves much to be desired. The worldwide gross enrollment ratio in higher education increased from 19% in 2000 to 40% in 2020. Our gross enrollment ratio is, around 27%. But if you look at the total enrollment in higher education at the global level, it is 235 million, which means that close to 23.5 crore children are enrolled in higher education. In our country, we have about 41 million students enrolled in higher education, which means around a little over 4 crore. The biggest increase in gross enrollment ratio in the last 20 years has been in Eastern and Central Asia, which is to the tune of 36 percentage point. And in 2020, the gross enrollment ratio reached 27% in Central and Southern Asia. About a third of enrollment worldwide is estimated to be in private higher education institutions, and two-thirds in public institutions. There are about 88,000 higher educational institutions which are in operation. Half of the global total higher educational institutions are in Central and Southern Asia. And this was entirely because of us, because we have more than 54,000 higher educational institutions in our country, which fall in different categories: central universities, state private universities, institutions deemed to be universities, institutions of national importance. And that number is close to 1,103. We have about 43,000 colleges which are offering both undergraduate as well as postgraduate programs. And apart from these two categories of institutions, we also have standalone institutions which are offering only the diploma or the certificate programs. Interestingly, we have added more than 23,000 higher educational institutions in the last 2 decades, which accounts for 74% of the world's growth in institution counts. And we still feel that we do not have sufficient number of higher educational institutions. We need many more, and we need more quality institutions, because most of our institutions fall in the category of learning system, wherein the knowledge created elsewhere is transmitted and certified. The gaps in enrollment rates in higher education between the richest and the poorest can reach 60 percentage point or over in some middle income countries. And inequalities by income level entail gaps not only in enrollment rates, but in the types of higher education institutions students attend. If we see the profile of students who are admitted in institutions like institutions of national importance, be it IITs, IIMs, central universities, or ISERs, Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, or triple IITs, we find we find very different profile of students. A very less number of students from the marginalized sections are found in these institutions. The gender parity index indicates at the global level that 113 women are enrolled in higher education for every 100 men in according to the latest report. You can see that trend even in your own country. If you see the participation rates of girls in the state of Tamil Nadu, even in the states of Punjab from north, you will find that the girls have outranked the boys in terms of their participation in higher education. It concerns the quality of learning experiences, the completion of qualifications, participation in the labor market, and contribution in research and leadership and engagement in all disciplines. More than half of graduates in 2020 were female, but if you look at the participation rates of girls in disciplines which we call STEM disciplines, that is showing an upward trend though, but it is still less actually. And academic and research gender indicators also reveal that less than, 35% senior academics and authors are women. Similarly, if you see that there are about 1 billion people in the world who are having some form of disability. And persons with disability, aged 25 and above, who have completed higher education, is half as low as those without disabilities. And though the government at different levels in different countries are making concerted efforts to provide access to physically challenged children in higher education, but there are still problems with certain kinds of institutions which are not able to provide the kinds of facilities which are required to engage the physically challenged children in higher education. Quality has continued to be a major concern, and every time we make a statement, we say that we will provide access to quality higher education. In fact, quality in higher education is a multi-dimensional, multi-level, and dynamic concept, which relates to the contextual settings of an educational model, as well as to specific standards within a given system, institution, program, or discipline. Quality is a is a construct actually, and it continues to be a moving target. I would like to share with you, there was a conference held in China in 2019, wherein people made sincere efforts to articulate quality in higher education, but they were not able to arrive at a universal definition of quality because it is highly contextual, and it will remain so actually. So what has happened is that now the countries are coming up with the flexible learning pathways, and some countries have come up with the policy of providing flexible learning pathway. Learning as a lifelong experience requires quality education provisions alongside flexible learning pathways. We need to understand one thing, be it at a school level or at higher education level, that each person's learning trajectory is unique and it involves innumerable formal and informal learning experiences. Public policies and regulations and institutional structure can foster integrated and flexible systems for dynamic learning progression. For example, by recognizing prior learning and by facilitating horizontal and vertical mobility. We have created those kind, we have made, assertions about these different pathways in our national education policy, wherein we have talked about the multiple entry and multiple exit provision at the undergraduate level and the postgraduate level, and seamless transition of learners from vocational education to conventional education and vice versa. But regulatory, legislative, and policy framework for flexible learning pathway are not put in place. I think we need to focus on that part, which can support in a variety of ways. It can widen the participation in higher education if we put in place a flexible learning pathway. It can provide better responsiveness to diverse students' needs. It can improve general level of education in society. And it can also help in career progression. Besides strengthening equity, besides reducing the dropout rates, and besides increasing the completion rates of studies. I was going through this latest report and I found out that there are about 75 countries which have put in place the policy that supports flexible learning pathways with varying degrees. These are the countries which have policies like policy on national qualification framework. We have also come up now with the National Higher Education Qualification Framework. They have a policy on information and guidance for students. The University Grants Commission has recently come out with the guidelines. They have the policy on credit accumulation and transfer systems. They have the policy on recognition and validation of prior learning. We have also talked about it in our policy. Policy for lifelong learning, and separate national policy for flexible learning pathways. There are at least 11 types of learning pathways to enter higher education across the world. And I think we in the coming times will have to strengthen these operations, though we have expressed them in the form of intents in the national education policy, but we need to do that. There are around 345 quality assurance bodies which are operating worldwide, actually. We have also been working on it, but there are questions raised about these bodies which we have created, be it the National Assessment and Accreditation Council, which is an inter-university center of the UGC, or the National Board of Accreditation, which was earlier initially the part of the All India Council for Technical Education, but now it has become an independent organization, or be it the internal quality assurance cells, which we have established in colleges and in the universities. These bodies are expected to develop processes to validate their own work, including by third-party assessment. There are several countries actually which have one or more national and multiple regional, professional, and subject-specific quality assurance bodies. In the National Education Policy, we have said that we are going to have Higher Education Commission of India with 4 verticals in the form of councils. And of them, one vertical is going to be the National Accreditation Council, which is going to be a meta accrediting body. It will be providing, licenses to the regional bodies, which can assess and accredit individual institutions, which can assess and accredit programs offered by different institutions. This has been decided because we have a large, we have a very gigantic system of higher education, and NAC and NBA, they are not able to assess and accredit all the institutions because of the sheer size of the higher educational institutions in our country. There are various qualification frameworks which you will find, which represents a comprehensive policy framework defining all nationally recognized qualification in higher education in terms of workload, level, quality, learning outcomes, and profiles. Though we have come up with the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, and National Credit Framework, but I think we need to revisit them on a continuous basis with a view to make them workable and with a view to perfect them. There are about 116 countries which have national qualification framework addressing higher education, and majority of them are, in Europe and in the Western part, actually. The purpose of the National Higher Education Qualification Framework is to facilitate curriculum development and design of study programs. We would be writing the course content in the form of statements, and they cannot be the static statements. The experts will have to continually look into them and revise them over a period of time. And that periodicity should be as short as possible. I'm not saying that we should revisit and revise them on yearly basis, but I think unlike in the past, we should revisit and revise them at least after every 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, because the kinds of changes which are taking place in higher education and the kind of the students and graduate mobility that we are witnessing now. There are 9 clear-cut trends which emerge from the analysis of this report. One is the diversity in higher education in terms of students and faculty. Diversification is very important. For us, diversification in terms of student population. And when we are diversifying the campuses in terms of student population, I think we will have to develop expertise in terms of providing differential treatments to the children who would be coming from the marginalized sections of the society. We'll have to come up with the special kinds of orientation programs like our institutions of national importance are doing. Universities are not doing. I cannot claim that no one is doing. Some might be doing it. But the way the IIT system organizes the orientation programs for the children coming from not so scholarly background, we'll have to do that. The another trend which we are witnessing now is that non-traditional students are also joining higher education. traditionally, the students in higher education are in the cohort or age cohort of 18 to 23 or 18 to 24. But what is happening now is because of the rapid changes in the job market, the people are coming back to the campuses for the purpose of reskilling and upskilling themselves. And all institutions are not offering programs for these non-traditional students. I think we'll have to provide adequate space to the non-traditional students. That is another trend which is emerging. The third trend which is emerging is about embracing artificial intelligence for learning. There is too much of emphasis on artificial intelligence. Though lately the people have started expressing concerns about the use of artificial intelligence. And I was reading an article authored by one of the Nobel laureates in the recent past, wherein he has said that those who are creating are developing artificial intelligence, it is going to impact the lives of those very people, because the kind of coding which they are doing now for creating artificial intelligence, that coding would also be done automatically through automation, and it will eat up the jobs of those who today are creating artificial intelligence. He has argued that the world would require programs relating to mm, uh, providing services in the area of health and other domains. Another trend which is very visible out of the analysis is the online learning is becoming more prevalent now. And virtual reality is also coming up. There was a time when the regulatory bodies have put an embargo that certain institutions cannot offer certain programs in online mode. For instance, IGNOU had offered online program in exact sciences, but it was asked to abandon those programs because it was realized at that time that they are not able to provide hands-on experience to the students, and therefore they were asked to discontinue the offerings of the exact sciences. But now, with the invention of the virtual reality, I mean, it would be possible to offer the such programs through online mode. Another trend is that there is a rise of the massive open online courses for which there are not certain prerequisites. Anybody can join these programs. Some can even earn certain credits. Some can join them merely for upgrading their skills and competencies. There is also a growing need for enrollment of international students. In our policy also, we have said that higher educational institutions will have to create a special office to handle the international students. The institutions need to work towards breaking the barriers that inhibit proper diversification of students and faculty across disciplines. They must recognize the need to extend educational opportunities to students for all background. The another thing that I would like to share is that what is that I had in mind? Sorry, I missed that point. I was talking about, yes, the international students. But apart from that, I would also like to reflect a little on the financial aspects actually. Decreasing funding from the states and federal governments are forcing universities to look elsewhere for funding. We have also said that we will have Higher Educational Financial Corporation, which will be providing loans. Most of our institutions, you can bar a couple of the private higher educational institutions which have come in the past. We are not in the habit of taking loans. We are not tuned to that kind of thing. And though the government is emphasizing that they are going to create that position, but I personally believe that the institutions to begin with will find it extremely difficult to take a loan and steer the affairs of their universities and colleges. A special focus should be made for the empowerment of the faculty, in fact, to begin with, so that they can develop exciting proposals and enable themselves to meet the deadlines of the business houses. Our IIT system has created that kind of an arrangement wherein professors work with the business houses. They get projects. They bring money to their individual institutions, and they are supporting the institutions by way of mobilizing additional resources. But we all know that higher education landscape is rapidly changing, and the sector is being hit from all sides by social, curriculum, technological, and financial changes. And institutions that want to maintain an edge over others should be prepared to adopt these emerging trends in higher education. We should heavily invest in curriculum development, orientation of teachers, research to come up with the innovative yet cheaper ways to adopt emerging technologies. And technology aside, more research is needed to determine what curriculum will work best for future learners. I would like to share, the findings of one more report with you. And it is very interesting report actually, which says that the public sentiments are shifting on the value of higher education, which is provided by majority of the institutions. Earlier, a college degree was considered fueling both individual and economic progress. But now, public sentiments seem to be eroding about higher education. You advertise the position, the lower rank positions in the offices, and you would find that a large number of children armed with the master's degree or the doctoral degree, they are applying for those lower rank positions. And you would have also witnessed the concerns expressed by the world of work that most of the students which are produced by the higher educational institutions, they are not employable, those kinds of things. But a recent survey shows that hardly 1/3 of the Americans have confidence in higher education. This is Gallup survey actually known as, which shows that only 36% of Americans have confidence in higher education. Here, I am noticing that they are not very much enthusiastic about degrees and certificates. What they are looking for in their employees is the skills, as long as they are able to deliver. The certificates and degrees become inconsequential for them. People are asking insightful questions actually, and for which we have very weak answers. People are looking answers for questions: how will artificial intelligence, automation, globalization, and emerging technologies reshape employment opportunities and skill requirements? And how can higher education reshape itself to deliver relevant, impactful, and valuable outcomes for the learners and leaders of tomorrow? This is a very big question, actually. The job market is making a profound influence on enrollment trends over the past few years, shaping the choices and decisions of individuals seeking to further their education. Employment is rapidly shrinking in certain areas. I mean, you can also see those kinds of trends. At one time, we realized at the national level that the enrollment in exact sciences is declining. And as a matter of that concern, actually, what we decided was that we will have special institutions to bolster the enrollment in basic sciences, and we came up with these Indian Institute of Science Education and Research. But that kind of arrangement, according to me, is putting a safety valve. I mean, why can't we strengthen the existing university system? Besides creating a parallel system by undermining the strength and the potential of the existing institutions. But this is what we have been doing. When the university system showed an ambivalent attitude to provide a very healthy response to the invasion of information and communication technology, the government of India had to set up the triple IITs, actually, Indian Institute of Information Technology at that time. Uncertain job market is prompting people to seek ways to enhance their skills and qualifications while remaining employed. And which is why I had said in my earlier assertions that universities will have to create provisions for the non-traditional students who would like to upskill and reskill themselves. And in an era of rising unemployment, the kind of unemployment that we have, individuals are looking for opportunities to re-engage themselves with education and enhance their skills. It is giving rise to a new challenge for higher education leaders to ensure that education remains an accessible and empowering option for both traditional and non-traditional students. It is quite obvious that higher education globally has undergone significant shifts in recent years. And therefore, what are the insights for us? One is that it has been primarily influenced by a series of economic and social factors. Challenges include declining enrollment in certain domains of knowledge, rising costs, reduced revenues. We are not able to recover the operational cost, and along with increased inflation. Another key insight is that the current trends highlight the need for a reimagined approach to funding, student support, and operation management. Most institutions are relying on internal recoveries, which is not at all adequate to run their affairs. I mean, if you look at the internal recoveries that we make in public institutions, we find that we are not recovering more than 15 or 16% of the operational cost. I'm talking about the publicly funded higher educational institutions. Another key insight is that there is a challenge, there is a scarcity of qualified and competent faculty. Universities do not have the capacity to provide competitive packages to talented workforce. And that talented workforce get diverted to other areas of human endeavors, actually. One can see fluctuating trends in enrollment due to inverse relationship between enrollment and economic performance. And when economy does well, then enrollment takes a dip. This is another key insight, actually. And when economy struggles, then enrollment rises because prospective candidates choose to go back to campuses to improve their qualifications and gain new skills. And which is why I have said it twice that the challenge for the leaders of higher educational institutions is to provide adequate space for both traditional as well as non-traditional students, because this problem will continue to be there. It requires a reimagined approach to funding, student support, and giving futuristic orientation to programs and maximization of the use of technology. It means making use of diversified means for mobilizing resources, embracing technology, enhancing student support services, and strengthening industry partnership, improving operational efficiency. Our higher educational institutions need to learn a great deal from the Western world insofar as the institution and industry relationships are concerned. And all this needs to be done from micro level to macro level. In this ever-changing job market scenario, colleges and universities will be facing the crucial task of enhancing the alignment between education and training to meet the evolving demand of both employers and students. Surprisingly, this change is not going to be uniform or steady, actually. There might be some areas that are going to grow while others might shrink. Now, higher education leaders need to envision them and stay in front of these anticipated shifts which are going to take place. The key lies in continuous adaptation and evolution of educational offerings. It would require a dynamic approach in this ever-evolving economic landscape. There may be some professions which might show a surge in job demand. And if we do not anticipate high opportunity programs and prepare workforce for them, what is going to happen? That gap may be filled temporarily by underqualified individuals, as it happens during the initial period of ICT invasion, when organizations like NIIT and AppTech made fortunes by offering the certificate programs of 3 months duration or 6 months duration. The high opportunity programs, what are the high opportunity programs actually we can envision or we can visualize, and we are seeing currently actually? They may be healthcare support, personal care and support services, respiratory therapists, occupational therapists, dietitians, medical equipment repairers, community and social services, behavioral sciences, law enforcement agencies, cyber security, farming, floriculture, sales and related services, you name. I mean, these are the upcoming areas where we do not have strong programs. And that is the challenge, actually. And we are going to have people in these jobs in great number. The healthcare and social assistance sectors are poised for the most rapid growth, actually. Such workforce would be required in large numbers in places where older population is increasing. Similarly, computer and mathematical occupations are projected to experience significantly above average growth because of artificial intelligence and automation. There is going to be a huge crisis of identity in higher education. Higher education leaders seeking to maintain and grow enrollment in the current landscape must be prepared to communicate the value of higher education in general, as well as the value or proposition of their brand and program outcomes. Universities and colleges that best communicate their brand value and create student-centered are most likely to maintain and grow enrollment. A rapidly evolving economy driven by technology and societal change has necessitated continuous learning and adaptability in the workforce. And this is what the universities, leading universities, are doing actually. They have curriculum developers in different domains of knowledge. And the job of these curriculum developers is to anticipate the kinds of competencies and the skills that the world would require in 10 years from hence, or 15 years from hence, or 20 years from hence. Higher education must create pathways and learning experiences that are similarly adaptable and support the continuous and evolving needs of modern society. And modern society cannot live without research-intensive universities. Perhaps most important, the institution that will thrive in a new landscape will be those that align programs with career outcomes and are committed to creating highly employable graduates. Institutions will have to accord topmost priority to such programs which can serve, and I am saying it fourth time during my assertions, which can serve the non-traditional and traditional students side by side actually. In this context, colleges and universities must step up to serve the needs of all students regardless of their chosen path to an education, with student-centered and outcome-focused programs that are flexible and durable. This is what we have also proposed. If you see the essence of the National Education Policy 2020, this is the essence actually of the policy, that we need outcome-based education. We need to churn out children who are, who have the competencies and the skills which are needed by the modern world. These are the challenges which we all would be facing in times to come, and institutions which will prepare themselves to take these challenges head on will survive. They only will have their brand name and brand value, and that is what is required. And which is why it is often said that education, we need visionary leadership in our educational institutions, which can anticipate these kinds of changes, which have the who can anticipate these kinds of changes, and who have the capacity to transform their vision into reality. These are not small challenges, they are big challenges, but we have to prepare ourselves for that. And I hope that that can be done only through the educational institutions, because universities are the highest hopes of the society. They are the organizations which take the society to the next stage of development, the development which has become very, very fast actually in these times. So the challenge lies before the educational institutions, and I hope that our leadership will rise to the occasion to bring about qualitative improvement for the purposes of providing access to quality education to the children who would be entering into the portals of higher education. So I thought that instead of reflecting on the intents of the national education policy, I would like to share these key insights, and I would like to give you the flavor of the recent trends, global trends in higher education. If you have questions relating to the implications of the intents of the national education policy, I would be more than happy to respond to your questions. So over to Professor Sarita and Professor Vimal. This is all I wanted to share with you in today's lecture.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for your deliberations. And I'll request if there are any questions. I think Sarita is also
Yes,
there.
there are questions.
Vida, yeah, please.
Yeah, there are questions. Either the participants can unmute themselves or I can read out one or two questions in the meanwhile. Nikita has asked, we see many college dropouts these days in the Western world also. So, what are your comments about it, sir?
Yeah. There are multiple reasons actually. It depends upon the profile of the country. The place where I am sitting, sometimes the dropouts, one of the factors of the dropouts is the um, um, surging economy actually. I have also said it in my assertion. When the economy is doing well, there is a dip in enrollment in United States of America and in some part of Europe, because people give up the jobs, unlike it happens in our country, and they enter into the world of work. And whenever the economy struggles, I mean, there would be a rise in enrollment. So the dropout rate or the completion rate problem is everywhere, but it is highly contextual. It depends upon the economy of the individual country.
Thank you, sir. So there's another question by Sangeeta Kumar. The stakeholders are parents too. They need to understand that their ward needs to attend college, especially girls. The first casualty whenever there is a problem at home is the daughter. She is supposed to stay back and help out at home. We are struggling with this abysmal attendance every single day.
Yeah, this is a problem actually. I mean, there are historical reasons for that, and there are other social factors responsible for that. But things are changing now. I have given you the example of the state of Tamil Nadu and the state of Punjab, wherein the girls' participation in higher education has outranked the boys. But if you look at the national level, we find that the participation rates of girls in so-called progressive domains of knowledge is much lesser than the participation rates of boys. This problem is there, and there are multiple factors for that. But what is needed for that is the responsibility lies. In fact, I had written a piece once for the uh, premier institutions that they need to increase the participation rates of girls in these market-oriented programs, and for which they need to revisit the um, existing curricular provisions. They should add some such components where they do not they don't have to struggle the way they have to struggle, and as a result of which there are casualties, there are dropouts. So I think we have to address this issue on different fronts. One is on the family front, another is at the institutional front, and the third is at the mindsets of the people who are managing the institutions, including the faculty members.
Thank you, sir. So there's yet another question of Dr. Rekha Arya. So we are talking about the education for industry only. Higher education is more than that. What about the cultural and academic aspects? Pure sciences, classical music, Sanskrit subjects are the victims of this process.
Every single domain of knowledge is of paramount significance. And this is not fair and correct that we talk only about the industry. Higher education is decidedly, I agree with her very much. And I'm of the opinion that with the invention of the information and communication technology, the kind of mad race that we have witnessed, we have undermined the value of programs relating to humanities and social sciences and language. And I have, a piece on this aspect as well, that if we undermine the values of the humanities and social sciences and languages, we are going to become a very weak society. And therefore, we need to strike a balance between these so-called market-oriented programs or the progressive programs and the humanities and social sciences and language programs, which are I consider them of greater value for the society than the ICT programs. So, but they have been hit actually in the recent past, and I think we should be very, very conscious about this aspect of higher education. We should not allow them to get relegated to the background. They are very important domains of knowledge. And let me give you an example. When IITs were established, we did not have the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences in IITs. But no sooner they started off, they realized that what are we preparing these engineers for? If they do not understand the structure of the society, if they do not understand the issues and concerns of the society, how are they going to be good engineers, good human beings? And which is why the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences were established in the IIT. I think we need to draw a lesson from there, and we should accord equal importance to these domains of knowledge.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Any other participants wants to interact with sir? Please raise your hands.
Professor Rekha Arya.
I think Professor Rekha wants to ask here.
Yeah. Professor Rekha Arya, are you there?
She's there.
Hi, she's there. But she's unable to raise her hand.
Yeah, connecting her audio. I think this network issue. So meantime, I would like to give my observation about today's talk.
Good.
I had asked Professor Vimal in one of the talks that I feel when our students come to college, we tell them, oh, you should have done this kind of an exercise in school. That is how you will be admitted to a particular course. Or when our students graduate from the college, then they feel that what are we going to get with this degree in the society? And so
say it once again. I got disturbed. I wanted to connect my computer.
So I was saying that in one of the talks, I had asked this question to Professor Vimal, and that got answered today. That when we give admission to students in college, we tell them that you should have done this particular combination of subjects so that you could be admitted in a particular course in which they want to take admission. But that information is lacking in the school. Likewise, when students from college, they move out with their bachelor's degree, they are unable to find suitable jobs, whatever they have learned in the graduation course. So shouldn't it be like that? We give them whatever is required in the society, and that really requires a lot of effort and planning. So that there you have given a ray of hope today that these curriculum developers who are there in the Western countries, and we can hope that they can become a part of our system also, that they will foresee the need of the society, and accordingly the curriculum will be framed, which will be suitable for the society as well as useful for the students. So that was very encouraging. That really gave a lot of hope. Thank you for that, sir.
And another thing that is missing in our system is that we are not creating awareness amongst the students insofar as the goals setting is concerned, actually. The children have to set educational goals as well as the career goals, and for which we should take upon ourselves the responsibility of creating that kind of an awareness. And it should start from the school days. When the child enters into grade 9, he or she should be told what are the opportunities available for him or her, actually. or whether they would like to go in for science stream or commerce stream or humanities stream. And similarly, when they are in grade 12, they should be made aware about the educational opportunities available in the post-secondary sector. And it is not only the question of the selection of a stream, it is also the question of selection of the educational institution. I mean, what kind of preparations would be required to enter into an institution of national importance? What kind of preparations would be required to enter into the central universities or to other institutions of their choice? So we are not organizing those kinds of programs. We do not have people, who can act as counselors. There are some institutions wherein we have counselors, but I think we need to do a little more on that front with a view to creating better awareness so that they can set their educational goals and career goals. I would, in fact, request you to take it as a social service. Some of you can do that. And when a university professor goes to a school and address the students, they will get inspired, they will get motivated, and they will get right kind of information. I would request Professor Bimal to create a website for that, through which this thing can be communicated to the young boys and girls right from the initial stage of schooling up to the stage when they come to you as your students.
Yeah,
That should
thank
be
you, sir.
done.
Definitely.
Our responsibility should not remain only to teaching physics and chemistry and history and geography. I think because we as teachers have the responsibility to shape up the life of our students. And that shaping up requires not only the transmission of the knowledge of a particular subject, but also to make the child worldly wise. So we should do that kind of social service as well.
Thank you, sir. And sir, as a matter of practice, in my very beginning, first and second class, what I do is I interact with each student and ask that what are they aspiring for. And in the discussion itself, we'll find that 4 or 5 groups they emerge. They have similar goals. And then I make the study groups around those only. So that not only in the course they are discussing, but also on what further professional career they are aspiring to, they can then find out the common strategy and take it further. So that really helps. Yeah. So I'll request Dr. Rekha Arya if she can,
Am I
ask
audible?
a question, please. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible,
Yeah.
please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for a very nice and informative presentation. Half of my question is discussed by you, but my second half is that to the second point, that when the accreditation bodies are coming to the institute, they also want the same model, that the industry model, how much placement you are producing, what type of professional courses you are offering, and the value of institute judged by only this. This parameter is having the largest amount of significance. My question is this: should not we have different type of accreditation processes for the humanities, social sciences, basic sciences, and other courses institute, so that we can have a different status, not the professional one, but the academic one? Yeah, this is my query from you.
See, if you look into the basic criteria of NAC, there are 7 aspects of that.
Yes.
Okay. And then in each aspect and in each area, there are certain metrics involved.
Yes.
This is one. This placement is one of the indices actually in one of the metrics. There are multiple metrics, and they are taking they are combining all of them for the purposes of awarding the CGPA. Okay, that is not based on a single criterion. That is based on multiple criteria.
Yes, sir. Multiple criteria.
Now I'm coming to that. I would not like to attach too much importance when we were studying during our time. The institutions were not bothering about placements at all, actually. That was not the job of an educational institution. If the institution is doing its job very well, automatically that aspect will be taken care of. If you are providing quality education, if you are providing skills and competencies which are needed by the modern world, the placement will not be a problem. Why did we come up with the National Assessment and Accreditation Council in 1994? And why all other nation states have come up with their own assessment and accrediting agencies? I was telling you that there are 345 internationally recognized accrediting bodies in this world, because most of the institutions were not doing the right kind of the job. See, if you are doing the right kind of job, then there is no problem. But if most of the people were not doing and most of the institutions were not doing, then the nation states were forced to come up with this idea. Okay, I'll give you the example. We did not have the formal system of examination in earlier times. And you know where from the examination system started? The examination system started from the city of Boston in United States of America. When the municipality decided to provide financial assistance to the schools in the city of Boston, they were finding it very difficult to interview every single student of every single school. So they decided that they would like to have some kind of a criteria. They would like to know the quality of the product. And this is how that was started. So similarly, this assessment and accreditation process started because most of the institutions were not doing the right kind of job. And the idea was that through this assessment process, we would be able to show the mirror to the individual institution. The individual institutions would know what are their strengths and what are their shortcomings, so that they can consolidate on their, strengths, and they can overcome their inadequacies. That was the idea. The idea was not, to make inter-university or inter-colleges comparisons. The idea was to make institutional accreditation so that institution knows about its strengths and shortcomings. That was the idea. But now, this placement business has taken such an ugly shape that some institutions, are bribing the industries to take their students for a shorter duration. They hire them for a period of 3 months. The institution pays, and then the institution shows in its report that there has been 100% placement. Whereas the fact remains that these students are laid off after 3 months' time from that industry. So the institution and industry, they are colluding. There is no end to malpractices, actually.
No end to malpractices.
Okay. So I am not a great admirer of this placement business. If you do your job well, the placement will automatically be taken care of.
So actually, sir, we are
To answer to your question, that is one of the criterion of assessment. That is not the sole criteria.
Yes.
And since this is the practice all over the world now, so we also cannot turn a blind eye.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. See, we were not, one of the questions which we were facing all the time was that why our institutions are not figuring in global ranking, be it QS ranking or Shanghai ranking or the Times Higher Education Supplement ranking. But we looked into those criteria which are employed by these global ranking agencies, and we found that we fall flat on certain parameters like the international faculty, the international students, and the citations and the publications, volume and the quality of publications, all that. So then we decided that, all right, what we would do is we will have our own ranking system. And this is how we started National Institutional Ranking Framework. So we have created enough work for you, madam, to take care of the NAC team, to take care of the NBA team, and to take care of the NIRF team, to create data throughout the years, focus more on creating data and uploading data and preparing self-study report. Okay, so we have created a good job for you, so
Thank you,
that
sir. One
so
more thing,
that you get
when
so
you talk
that you
about
get great
citation. So one thing, when you talk
so
about
that
citation, do we have any Indian body which have citation factors which are being considered during the time of promotions, rather, we must say?
no, you have these, I mean, international agencies for that, not
Only
the,
international. Yes.
yeah,
Okay,
for
sir.
citation. And so we have created enough work for you, ma'am, so that you can get respite from teaching.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. No respite. We love teaching.
Mhm.
Thank you, sir.
Last question from Dr. Viniti Gupta, please. Yeah.
Okay.
You can please unmute, Dr. Viniti. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so
Good
much
evening.
for your motivational lecture. We really enjoyed it. And just what my colleague Dr. Rekha said, actually, what we mean to say is that we have just got a very nice insight from you about the student quality and the student quantity. And then how do we academically disseminate knowledge and vocational, what you can say, pursuits into them? So the only thing is that should now where the NAC accreditation comes is that the quality of students should be rectified in the mid-academic stage. The aptitude should be developed there so that when the student comes to higher education, the student is aware whether that student or child is capable of taking a particular stream. In fact, that would help us also to guide the student better towards more critical thinking and more globalization than just to assess us as a higher education for NAC and give us a grade that our students are not up to the mark because the teaching is not up to the mark. I don't know how much is that valid. I really don't know, because this is not totally what you can say, the higher education institute's fault that the quality of students coming from the middle school is not up to the mark. So the thing is that it should be a total stream from the junior to the senior, where this should be accredited, and then I think we can help our students to have more critical thinking temperaments. Thank you, sir.
Viniti ji, I mean, I couldn't agree more with you. Continuity has got a meaning actually. And shifting of responsibility downward is also not the solution.
Yes.
If I teach grade 6, 7, and 8 students, and I keep cribbing all the time that they were not taught well in the primary section, and that they are not the quality students, that is not the done thing. And if I teach in higher secondary classes, and similar attitude I express that they are not the right kind of students who should have come to, I mean, the senior secondary stage, that is not the solution for that. And so is in the higher education. I would like to suggest you that what we need to do is, if we find inadequacies at our level, we must make extra efforts to help them overcome those inadequacies. I'll give you the example. For instance, if you are teaching in a metropolitan city, and if you have more number of children who are very affluent in English language, and along with them, if you have some students who have come from the rural background, who are not from these scholarly families, and you find them that they are not good in, or they are not proficient in English language, I think the responsibility lies on you to guide them, to help them to overcome those shortcomings. But we do not do that actually. We develop a different kind of an attitude. I'm of the opinion, I'll give you just one example. Language, for instance, is an art which can be acquired at any point in time, provided there is a will and there is a determination. And that can be enthused by you in those students who are not proficient in a language, and you can guide them that this is how you can improve upon it. And they do that. This is one aspect. The second one is about the generic abilities. Unfortunately, I mean, you talked about the problem solving, critical thinking, analytical thinking, okay? These generic abilities, unfortunately, are not made the part of our explicit curriculum. We presume that these abilities would automatically get developed. They do get developed. I'm not denying that. But what kind of efforts do we make to ensure that while I'm teaching, I assign some such tasks to my students so that they apply their mind and they solve a difficult problem? Their critical ability gets developed. Their analytical ability gets developed. Leave aside this. We as teachers, if we start identifying students on the basis of their learning styles, in your class, you would always find that there would be some dynamic learners. There would be some analytic learners. There would be some common sense learners. And there would be some slow learners. And now if you have such a heterogeneous group, what kind of responsibility do you have as a teacher? Your responsibility is to provide differential treatment. You can't be rigid and static. And that responsibility, if you take that responsibility, then and if you provide differential treatment, then everyone would learn at his or her own pace. Some will take a little longer than others. But you will have to design different kinds of exercises for these different kinds of students. Okay, so much depends upon that. I have a very good experience actually, which I experienced in 1989 when I came to this part of the world as a Fulbright scholar actually. And let me give you that example. What is the time? I think my time is up. But
Yes, sir, you can continue. Yeah, I will.
I tell you, I have shared it with Professor Vimal. I mean, on more than one occasion. I signed a program here in measurement and evaluation. And my professor, he said that in the first class, actually first day, he told all of us that this is how he is going to teach. This would be the contours of the program. And he explained and how is he going to assess us. There was a student by the name Eric Palstra from Holland in that class. And he would usually, I mean, in the first class itself, actually, I will leave that part. He was teaching us factor analysis. And in factor analysis, there were 5 steps involved. So he explained all those 5 steps very nicely. And once he was done, his name was Professor William Marans. He was known as Bill because in the central part of America, Williams are known as Bill. So he was known as Professor Bill. So he asked us, the entire class, usually as teachers do, have you got it? And that was the first cultural shock for me. Eric raised his hand like this, like we used to do in our primary class. So, and Eric said that, what the hell you have talked about, Bill? Nothing has got into my head. And I thought that this guy has lost $330 today. That came to my mind actually immediately, because we couldn't dare speak like this to our teacher. And I was stunned actually. Eric was sitting in the front row. I was sitting in the middle of the class. So Professor Bill said, all right, Eric, tell me, what have you not understood? Eric said, nothing at all. Nothing has got into my head. What all you have talked. So Professor Bill said, all right, I will make a second attempt. He made a second attempt, and he explained very nicely using different examples. And then he asked, focusing on Eric, Eric, have you got it? Eric said, yeah, the first 3 steps now make some sense to me, but not the last 2. The last 2 are just like that. And Professor Bill, without frowning actually, I analyzed it at a later stage in my life. At that time, I was stunned. I couldn't make that kind of an analysis. He said, all right, I will make another attempt. He made the 3rd attempt. And this time, his language was different. His delivery was different. Examples were different. He explained it very nicely. And he asked Eric, Eric, have you got it? Eric said, all right, now it makes some sense to me. And you know what was the response of Professor Bill? Professor Bill said, Eric, thank you so very much. I have also got it today. See the beauty, the quality of the mind of Professor Bill. He said, and this is what happens with all of us. Our second lecture would decidedly be better than our first lecture. And the 3rd lecture would be surely much better than the second lecture. So this is how we keep improving ourselves. So the point that I was trying to make is that much depends upon the quality of the mind of the teacher, how she handles her students, how she makes sure that the continuity and the hierarchy of the concepts are taken care of. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. And I think we all will try to keep on improving in our every session. But now we can also take the help of technology, where we can preserve our best version and give our students that, okay, you watch it again and again and again till you follow it. And we have to adopt the blended back, because I personally feel, sir, the type of model talked about, the student-teacher ratio also is a very big concern. And we also have to keep in mind the type of curriculum that we are framing in the light of NEP 2020, when many institutions are bringing new courses, but somehow the core courses, they are not making it appropriate. They are filling it. Okay, this was in 2 semesters. Now you have to make 1 paper. Let's fill everything. So teach less, but teach it good. I think we are not going into that direction. So we all have to look into so many dimensions. So the first day, it was very good with the two stalwarts in education system, and we'll have more guidance and motivation coming from both of them. And a special mention I will like to tell here, sir. We have almost 79 participants from one institution, that is Sri Tikaram Kanya Mahavidyalaya, Aligarh, who have joined in this particular batch. And I'm sure that when the entire institutions get motivated and try to go into similar line, the difference will be felt. So maybe I'm tracking out that, yes, how we can take these institutions, that what is the impact study if we can do of these programs, something that we'll like to really look into for that. Dr.
I would like to make one last observation.
Yes,
This
sir.
is an advice to all the youngsters. You have an opportunity actually to go through this document, the National Education Policy 2020. See every single intent. Policy is nothing but a statement of intents actually. And there are multiple intents. I have cited the example of about 21 intents that we have in the area of higher education. And I want you to look into each and every intent and see the implication of that intent. If we are talking about multiple exit and multiple entry, what would be the implication of that? If we are talking about having only 3 types of institutions, research intensive university, teaching intensive universities, and autonomous colleges with degree awarding powers, what would be the implication of that? You have 43,000 colleges in this country. And if each college is going to award its own degree, what would be the implication of that? Write articles on such aspects. If you are going to have only 3 kinds of institutions, what would be its implication? If you talk about seamless transition of students from vocational programs to the conventional programs and vice versa, what would be the implication of that? If you are going to have Higher Education Commission of India with 4 verticals, what would be the implication of that? So that will add to your qualifications, that you can find a role for another thing, that you can also identify a role for yourself at the institutional level. I mean, if you have to develop the IDP, which is one of the mandates given in the National Education Policy, that you will have institutional development plan. What kind of role do you visualize for yourself in the preparation of the IDP? What kind of role do you visualize for yourself at the state level, at the national level? For instance, this girl, Professor Vimal, Professor Sarita, Professor Babita, they have identified a role for themselves at the national level. They are organizing these orientation programs. What kind of role can you visualize for yourself insofar as the implementation of the national education policy is concerned? Do that. That will add to your qualifications. This is the last point that I wanted to make, lest I forget.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I wish all of you the very best and great good luck. This is a wonderful opportunity for a person like me, I mean, who is out of the system for a very long time, to interact with the young minds.
No, so your rich expertise and wisdom we are all benefiting from. So thank you so much.
I would also like to express my thanks to Professor Vimal for giving me this opportunity. So over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you all, my team. I can see Professor Babita here, Dr. Seema, Dr. Mamta, and many others. Dr. Sarita just left, and all dear colleagues who have joined in this batch. And let me remind you again, please, we have changed slightly the way we'll be conducting this. So today's session we will provide you on YouTube. So those who have missed, they can watch. But tomorrow onwards, it will be only the live session. No recordings will be available. And the feedback link will be shared randomly, and it will be closed within half an hour. So be attentive, and more things will take it further. So I think we say now quit for today, the first day, and tomorrow again we are going to meet at 5 p.m. sharp. And till then, have a good, healthy dinner with your family, and be there in your professional space, in your classroom, with a smile on your face. And yes, tomorrow evening again we'll be meeting for yet more enlightening sessions. Thank you, everyone. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
you. Namaste. Say thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I can see some younger ones also joining their mothers. Huh? Hi, and love to those younger ones. Yeah, hi. Okay, namaskar. Yeah, bye. I would like to see this cutie. Where it is with Nikita. Hmm?
Say hi.
Hello, and bye bye. Okay,
Hi.
bye bye.